Sports presents NASCAR. Live from the Phoenix International Raceway, it's race number 9 in the chase for the NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series Championship. Hi, everybody. Bill Weber along with Wally Dellenbach and Benny Parsons. Thanks for having us in for the race. Today it is 500 kilometers. That's 312 laps around this 1 mile, relatively flat track. And Wally, any lingering doubts about good racing on this track were erased yesterday?
Yeah, I'll say it again. This is a driver's racetrack because this track is so different. Can't get the car set up for both ends because 1 and 2 is very different than 3 and 4. 1 and 2's got some banking, 3 and 4's flat. The driver's got to drive the race car, and it's a lot of fun for a driver. Yesterday in the Busch race, we had a great race. We had 3 or 4 guys swapping the lead. Here we have Harvick and Carl Edwards racing for the lead right at the end. There's 2 lines around this place, high and low. If you can get your car working really good on the bottom, you're going to be fast.
The racing here is a lot of fun, but when a lot of guys come to pit road at the same time under caution, that is a challenge, Benny.
It seems like I talk about this every week, pit road, but I was here in the spring, and it was so sad to see 2 guys' chances of winning eliminated on pit road. Greg Biffle gets a rear bumper bar through his radiator. Tony Stewart in the 20 car knocks the grill out, has to make several pit stops to try to cure that, all on pit road at 45 miles per hour. It just seems like we should figure out something to do about that.
A lot of traffic and a lot of tension on pit road, and obviously the guys are going to have to be careful because we have 3 guys, Benny, still racing for the championship.
Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, they've all got a great chance to win. But Tony Stewart said in his interview he's going out to try to win the race. If he wins, he'll get the points necessary to be the champion.
You think those guys are excited today?
I think they're real excited. This is their kind of racetrack.
All right, well, they can't wait for the most famous words in racing, and neither can we. Let's go trackside once again here at Phoenix.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Francisco Quintero as he gives those most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
"43 cars roar to life under the fireworks and in front of the fans. The sun is shining at Phoenix. We're ready to go racing. When we come back, we'll have the starting lineup and the green flag live on NBC. Feel the race like never before in 360 degrees of full surround sound. Get ready to hear the big picture because the only way to experience the full impact of HD is with NBC Sports and Sony HD. Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, the proud sponsor with the Budweiser Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series race. Budweiser congratulates Denny Hamlin for his first NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series Bud pole, the 17th different pole winner this season, and Denny will be in the Bud Shootout when we get to Daytona in February. He's on the pole. Here is today's Harley-Davidson starting grid. It's Denny Hamlin and championship contender Jimmy Johnson on the front row.
Row 2, Carl Edwards. Boy, is he hot right now, and Greg Biffle.
On the inside of row 3 is Bobby Labonte, just 2 races to go in this 18 car, and Brian Vickers on the outside.
Back in row 4, Bobby Hamilton Jr. with a solid qualifying effort right next to Kevin Harvick.
Row 5, Tony Stewart on the inside, and Jeff Gordon on the outside.
Row 6, Ryan Newman in a backup car. Robbie Gordon, great qualifying run for the 7 cars.
Dave Blaney's in row 7 looking for a ride for 06, and he's right next to Jeff Green from Petty Enterprises.
Row 8 on the inside, Kyle Busch for the Hendrick team. On the outside, Matt Kenseth drive the 17, had a good race yesterday in the Busch race.
And row 9, yes, Kenny Wallace in the 97 car. We'll talk about that some more, and Joe Nemechek on the outside.
Row 10, Dale Earnhardt Jr. going for the 3-peat at Phoenix, and Ricky Rudd, who managed to survive Wally World.
Row 11 on the inside, Dale Jarrett driving the 88 for Robert Yates, and Casey Kane is on the outside.
Jimmy Spencer on the inside of row 12, outside Elliott Sadler in the 38 car.
2 Phoenix winners in row 13, Jeff Burton on the inside and Rusty Wallace on the outside.
Row 14 on the inside, Mike Skinner driving the 37 car this week, and Jamie McMurray on the outside of the 42 car.
Mark Martin on the inside of row 15, flanked by Travis Kvapil in 77.
Row 16, Scott Riggs starts next to Mike Bliss.
Kenny Schrader on the inside of row 17. On the outside, Casey Mears.
Back in row 18 on the inside, Chad Chaffin and Stan Barrett, stunt driver in 95 cars.
Back in row 19, Johnny Sauter starts next to the 45 car of Kyle Petty.
Row 20, Jeremy Mayfield's got his work cut out for him today. And on the outside, Scott Wimmer.
Back in row 21, Sterling Marlin, just 2 races to go in the 40 car on the inside, and Michael Waltrip on the outside. He finished second here in April.
Starting 43rd, Jerry Robertson, who makes his first start in the NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series. Those are the 43 starters. Here are the guys that didn't make the race. And going to the back of the field, Chad Chaffin, Ken Schrader, Stanton Barrett, and Kenny Wallace. And Kenny Wallace in the seat after Kurt Busch was released from Roush Racing, suspended for the final 2 races of 2005. Benny, who you got on the radio?
Let's try to talk to Mark Martin. Hey, Mark, Benny Parsons, got me?
Hey, Benny.
Tell us about that beautiful paint job you've got on the 6 car here today.
Hey, first of all, I'd like to thank Viagra for letting us paint it like this. This paint job really means a lot to all the folks from the Midwest who saw it race back in the late 70s and early 80s. I can't tell you how many old school racers, veterans here in the garage have stopped by and talked about it this weekend. It's pretty cool.
Well, how about taking to Victory Lane to make us all happy?
Well, if it runs like it used to, we will have a shot at it. I think we've got a work cut out for us today. The car wasn't quite as good as we had hoped, but my team is awesome. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't do magic with it here today.
Good luck, Mark. All right.
5th in the championship standings, 123 points out of the lead. Final stories from the guys on pit road, and Marty Snyder leads off.
Bill, check out the record for Tony Stewart's race car that he's racing today. They've used it 5 times this year. It has 1 win, 3 second-place finishes, and in 4 of its 5 races, this car has led the most laps in the race. Now, they have had problems with this car this weekend, bottoming out in Friday morning practice. They have fixed that. The car much better for today's race. Tony told me, my determination to win the championship builds every week. I want this worse than the guys I'm racing against. Dave?
Chase contender Carl Edwards just might have a good day here today at Phoenix. He raced his first ever race on pavement right here at the Phoenix International Raceway back in March of 2001 when he drove a Silver Crown car here to a back-of-the-pack finish. A little over his head, he would admit. But since then, and 4 NEXTEL Cup wins later, he returns here, and also having won the Busch Series race yesterday. Watch out for Carl today, Matt.
Second in points, Jimmy Johnson has been 7th best on the flat tracks in 2005. Now he's only 38 markers out of first. Now he said all weekend he can easily win this championship on the racetrack. He doesn't need to have bad luck by his championship competitors. They have a great car. They found their balance problem in final practice, showed in qualifying. He starts second. Alan?
Well, with just 2 races to go in the season, there are too many drivers too close to the top of the point standings for anyone to feel comfortable today. The standings are so close, something as simple as a pit road speeding penalty or a flat tire late in today's race could take a driver out of a chance to win the title next week. 312 miles of racing here in Phoenix will clear up the picture heading to Miami next weekend. Let's find out what happens. Bill?
Thanks, Alan. You guys have a great day down there. Spectacular weather here in Phoenix. Sun is out, temperature in the low 80s. 43 cars ready to take the green flag, and a handful of guys still chasing the NEXTEL Cup Championship. Denny Hamlin with his first career pole, alongside Jimmy Johnson. The green flag is out. NASCAR Racing Live on NBC. Well, you know, Jimmy Johnson wanted those 5 bonus points on that first lap, but he didn't get it, and he's going to lose second place.
Yeah, Biffle was all over the back of Jimmy Johnson in 3 and 4, and he gets underneath him on the straightaway and takes that spot away.
Well, the 99 car, Carl Edwards, very high off turn 2, but we'll see quite a bit of that. Matt, something wrong with the 48?
No, BP, but his spotter, Chris Osborne, just told him, remember, later in the day, the sun will be an issue for you into 1, but down in 3 and 4, it's an issue for me seeing you because of all the campers. You just have to be extra careful down in 3 and
spotters have their work cut out for them here throughout the race. The sun, the structure, and the positioning of the spotters themselves. Driver can't count on the spotter in all situations here at Phoenix. Edwards looking to close in on Johnson. Well, Denny Hamlin trying to pull away.
Yeah, goodbye.
Yeah. Biffle's got him in his sights. There's Jimmy.
Like Harvick is trying to take a look underneath Carl Edwards. He's got the nose there. Alan?
One word out of Carl's radio in the opening lap of the race, Wally. Tight. Needs front end grip to make that car turn the way he wants it to.
Well, he lost a spot there. And that's the thing around this place. You know, his car worked really good on the high side of the Busch race yesterday, but if you can get your car to work on the bottom, you're going to pass a lot of cars here, especially as the race goes on.
It just doesn't look like there's a lot of room out there to maneuver around. Is there more than you see?
Yeah, there really is. There's a lot. Your cars slide here. You see 20 go by, 7 car, Robbie Gordon. There is a lot of room. You slide around, but all the cars are sliding, but it's just wide enough to have a lot of fun. Car can get out of shape. You can save it and have the guy on the outside still have enough room. So good track. Well, and you can get on the apron too if you want, like those guys are.
Stewart up to 9th. Allen?
So, Bill, guys that are 2 races away from winning a championship and in a tight fight, what do you think their mood would be on race morning?
Tense, really concerned, really tight.
Not at all. I went into Tony Stewart's team's trailer this morning, laughing, loose, having a lot of fun trying to win this title. Really, that's been the byword for this team this year, fun, and they're using that to defy the pressure of this championship.
Boy, he got the door shut on there by Jeff Gordon. Had to jump on the brakes, locked up the left front brake.
That smoke that you saw, as Wallace said, brake smoke off the 20 car.
You know, I really like what Tony said in his piece with Matt Yoakum, talking about how this is the kind of championship that Greg Zipadelli, his crew chief, imagined. There you see the brake smoke.
Yeah, you lock the left front tire. You got to be a little bit concerned you don't flat spot that tire, because at these speeds, when you hit the brakes and you lock the tire up, it'll flat that one spot out, and you'll get a vibration.
It doesn't take much at all because these tires are only about 1/8 of an inch thick.
Harvick on the bumper of Jimmy Johnson. This is for 3rd. Harvick's going to try the inside.
And he's going to take that spot away. Jimmy Johnson, 40 car, he's not in position to be arguing too much with these guys when they get on the inside of him.
Tight off of 4.
Tight off of 4, I heard him say.
Now, you see a lot of these guys, we're already talking about a lot of cars being tight. You'll see them drop on the apron. If your car doesn't turn well, you can get down on the apron, and it helps loosen the car. It helps turn the car. But you got to be careful, because sometimes it turns it too much, and you get sideways.
Jim Burton, 31 car, on board with him as he tries to get by the 9 of Casey Kane. Elliott Sadler on the inside for a second. Looked like they're going to be 3 wide, and that does not work very well going in the corners at Phoenix.
Jamie McMurray and Mike Bliss on the inside of the 32 car. Bobby Hamilton Jr. Hamilton Jr. had the good qualifying run, but has already dropped back to 24th.
That's the problem. Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 32 car had to qualify, did not have any points to fall back on. So the setup for qualifying and racing so totally different. We kind of expected him to go back and lose the position.
He definitely has his hands full, doesn't he? Sadler inside of Kane. Jamie McMurray watching this battle.
All right, Tony Stewart's going to try Jeff Gordon once again. This time he's got a starts a better run, but Jeff gets a great run off the corner. But I think this time he will give a spot to Tony.
You think?
Well, okay.
Normally, if you're on the high side getting off of turn 2, you're going to be faster by the time you get to turn 3. You've got to be right up next to him, right there, to take the spot away.
Okay, they race for that position. Meanwhile, we continue to watch up front.
And Biffle has closed in on the back bumper of Denny Hamlin in the 11 car. Has moved up the racetrack a little bit, trying a little bit higher line. Has Denny Hamlin said anything, Marty?
I hadn't said much on the radio, BP, but I talked to Denny this morning. He said, you know, I think there's a small piece of everyone that thinks we're going to go up there and fall back immediately. He said, you know what? I like this kind of racetrack. I feel confident in my car. We're going to try and not only lead up front, but win this thing. He said the car is good enough to win. Just a question of whether I have enough experience to win this race or not.
And Benny, we talked about it last week, but we talked to that crew in the garage in Texas, and they were so fired up with the ability and the performance of their driver. And then the next week he goes out and wins the pole for them.
So when I stopped by this morning, imagine
yes.
the atmosphere inside the pit area, the garage area in the 11 car.
Sky high, huh?
Oh, my gosh.
Denny Hamlin in front of championship contender Greg Biffle. The rookie leads the veteran here early at Phoenix. You're watching the NASCAR NEXTEL Cup chase for the championship on NBC.
NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series racing from Phoenix International Raceway is brought to you by Toyota. Choose any direct. That's why 40 million drivers trust State Farm.
New leader here at the Phoenix International Raceway, Greg Biffle. Took the lead just a few moments ago from Denny Hamlin, who led the first 15 laps in that 11 car.
On the outside, got position off turn 4 and got a great jump off the second corner, took that lead.
So Biffle, the second leader of the Checker Auto Parts 500. He's out front. Edwards. Putting some pressure on Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car, and Edwards is going to try the inside.
Yeah, Johnson's car looks like he's been sliding up using the higher side of the racetrack. I don't know if he's got a handling issue right there or not, but it seems like he's having a hard time keeping on the bottom, Matt.
Just trying to be patient. Chad Canals telling him, take care of your brakes. Now, Jimmy's just saying the car is tight off of turn 4, but it's really loose on entry down into 1, and especially down into 3, Wally.
You can track the 10 drivers in the chase for the NEXTEL Cup Championship on our ticker at the top of the screen. Those 10 drivers highlighted in yellow.
Yeah, he's loose off a 2, too, Matt.
And Carl Edwards knows it now, right?
Yeah, once the driver sees that, it's like all of a sudden they get real hungry. They smell blood. And see how he's down on the apron? See how the 99 car's down on the apron? That really helps your car turn. And there's actually some grip down there. That's why you get down there. You just got to be careful because it'll throw the car sideways.
Brian Vickers joins this battle in the 25 car.
See, the 99 got a little bit too sideways, BP, and he lost a little bit on the 48.
I would imagine when the 25 car pulled up behind the 99, that helped the loose condition.
Marty, how about Vickers?
Well, Bill, there's one adjustment the driver can make from inside the race car, and that is changing the brake bias. Brian said his car was loose from the entry, the middle, and off the corners. So what he did is he added more front brake, and that made his car better. Now it's just a little bit loose in. Wally's that a hard adjustment to make for the driver?
No, there's a little round dial that the driver can reach, and it's just you crank it one way or the other ways. One way is to the front, one way is to the rear. And if your car's loose in, yeah, if you put more front brake in it, that helps take the car from being sideways when you want to turn it in when you're on the brakes. It's all as you're on the brakes. That's what that brake bias affects.
Vickers was 5th here in April. His other 2 finishes here, 18th and 13th at Phoenix. And Carl continues to try and work on the inside of Jimmy Johnson.
He might have enough on him this time, BP. I don't know. We'll see if he gets down to 3, but if he can stay there, he may have enough.
Now, the spotters talk, this is the real trouble spot for the spotters. They're down in turn 1, and it's really difficult for them to see if that driver has position on their driver. So sometimes they just can't clear them. They have to figure it out for themselves.
This is what you talked about before we went green, Wally, that there is good racing here on this flat track at Phoenix.
I'll tell you, this is always one of my favorite places to drive a race car because it's just, you really have to you have to drive the car hard. Uh-oh, we got trouble here.
Stanton Barrett has gotten in the wall and brought out the caution flag.
First caution of the race, 25 laps complete. So Barrett will try and limp that back to pit road.
Flat tire caused that contact.
There are 40 cars on the lead lap. The question is how many will come to pit road and what will happen when they do.
I would say all of them are going to come to pit road.
No lucky dog. Stanton would have gotten the free pass.
Yeah, he definitely cut a tire there.
Just as Greg Biffle, the leader, with was on the inside of when that tire went flat.
That's a strange place to cut it, too. It looked like right on the other side of the dog leg there. Usually it's going into the corner.
So he gets his car behind the wall on pit road. Biffle leads Hamlin, Harvick, Edwards, and Johnson. Stewart runs in 8th. Kenseth back in 10th. Kenny Wallace, who started in the 97 car for Kurt Busch, is 38th. And pit road's going to be a busy place. Allen.
Well, Carl Edwards has had a long discussion with his crew chief Bob Osborne. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment in the left side tires that they'll put on the car. Look for them to pull one of the windshield tear-offs off as well and fire 4 tires at it, send them out. Dave?
Matt Kenseth comes to a stop in his pit stall. His car is tight in the middle, loose off the corner. He said work on tight in the middle, air pressure adjustments all the way around. Matt?
I try to find that tight and loose condition, chassis adjustments across the back of the car, and an air pressure change for Jimmy Johnson, the 48. Snyder?
Greg Biffle all the way down in the middle of turns 1 and 2, our leaders. And the car's just a little bit tight, especially from the middle of the corner off. Half round out of the left rear wedge, half a pound out of the left rear tire. He will not win the race off pit road. Looked like that was Denny Hamlin. Close race, though, guys.
And a lot of traffic on pit road. We also saw some real driver courtesy out there, especially by Kyle Petty. Denny Hamlin looks like he wins the race. We'll check it out. And Denny Hamlin did win the race off pit road. That's Biffle right behind him, and then Kevin Harvick. Carl Edwards watches from 4th. Jimmy Johnson came out 5th.
I see some looseness in Denny Hamlin's future. If Biffle can get on his bumper again.
He's got to catch him first.
Catch him right here.
Some of the guys that took just 2 tires. Scott Wimmer runs in 14th, and Dale Jarrett up to 10th.
I would be surprised if the 38 car also of Elliott Sadler didn't take 2.
Yeah, we got Marty working on that. We'll find out.
Biffle gets a challenge from the 29 of Kevin Harvick. It looks like that Biffle's car takes about 10 or 15 laps to come in and become fast.
Slow car coming off the backstretch. Looks like it might be Mike Bliss, and it is.
Just right side, guys. Just right side.
Right side tire.
May have a right front flat.
And Matt Yoakum did confirm 2 tires on Elliott Sadler's car on that pit stop. Take a look at our Craftsman pit summary. After our first caution of the race, Biffle went in first, swapped spots with Hamlin, and Kevin Harvick held serve. Our Craftsman pit summary after the first caution here at Phoenix.
Elliott Sadler about to lose a position. Is Brian Vickerson 25. Here comes 17, Matt Kenseth. Hey, Dave, I've been seeing the 17 car running really high that first 25 laps. What's he saying?
Well, BP, they were saying in the garage area this morning, watch the 17. Word was that they were going to be quite good. I spoke with Robbie Reiser this morning. I said, this weekend, it appears you've been good all weekend. When did you know you had great stuff? He said about 20 laps in the first practice on Friday. Alan?
Just an update on Tony Stewart, the championship leader. He's pretty happy with the race car as far as its handling. Says it's turning well. Very important on a track like this. Just looking for a little help with what he calls forward bite, Wally.
Well, may have a battle for the lead here. Biffle taking a look on the high side. Now we'll see if he can pin the 11 down at the bottom and see if maybe he can take the spot. Looks like he's going to do it.
Rookie's going to give ground there, isn't he?
Yes, I think so. You know, his 6th race that Denny Hamlin has competed in NASCAR NEXTEL Cup. I don't think you need to start knocking these guys around this soon. Wait a few races.
No harm in following Biffle here either, is there?
No. I mean, Biffle in the 16 car, they were out here testing last week for 2 days. We expected his car to be pretty decent, especially early on.
On the Bank of America countdown to green, we talked about how there was a mathematical possibility that Tony Stewart could win the championship today, but with Stanton Barrett and Chad Chaffin now out of the race, Johnson cannot be mathematically eliminated because he could not finish any worse than 41st. Just want to keep you on top of all the possibilities. Rusty Wallace inside in the 2. It's Jeff Burton in the 31.
He's back about the 17th, 18th position.
They started the race next to each other as well.
Yeah, there's been a big group of guys here that have been really stacked up right around this area, 15th through about 30th.
Ricky Rudd watching from behind. Our AutoZone in the zone drivers here at Phoenix. Mark Martin, the win in the 5 second place finishes. Of course, Earnhardt Jr. going for the three-peat. Jeff Burton, past winner here as well. 5 top 5 finishes in the last 8 races. Rusty trying to squeeze in there.
Ricky Rudd taking the spot away from Rusty.
Dave, how about the Blue Deuce?
One of the things you don't want to have, and it's very hard to avoid at the tracks these days, is a tight race car. Rusty didn't have that on the first run. In fact, his car was loose. They made a track bar and air pressure adjustment to try to help.
Dave Blaney in the 07. This is where that pack of cars Wally was talking about has been for most of the race. They straighten things out a little bit there. We drop back, look for the 97 car driven by Kenny Wallace here this afternoon. Dave?
And Bill, Kenny found out just this morning that he was wanted as a driver for that. Jack Roush was discussing with series director John Darby who he might be putting in the car, and they said, you know what, we need to call Kenny Wallace, who's here as a television commentator. So they dialed up Kenny, but they called him on Darby's phone, and whenever Darby calls you, it can be something bad. And Kenny goes, oh, Darby's calling me. I must have said something bad on television. When he found out it was for a ride with Jack Roush, he was all better about it.
If you weren't with us at the beginning of the day, Kurt Busch has been suspended by Roush Racing for the final 2 races of the 2005 season after being cited for reckless driving near the track here on Friday night. So in consultation with their sponsors, Roush Racing decided to pull Kurt Busch out of the seat. He will not drive here or at Miami next week. He was released earlier this week from his contractual obligations and will drive for Roger Penske next year. It's a very confusing situation and certainly a very tense situation around that race team.
And you say, well, why didn't NASCAR, why was it Jack Roush? Why didn't NASCAR take some steps? Well, all he was issued was a citation for reckless driving. That's not something that NASCAR would have to step in for. But it made such big news because of his conversation with the deputy sheriffs around here and around the country that the sponsors and Jack Roush basically had no choice.
And I also think there's probably some sort of feelings between driver and sponsor and owner on how things came down. So I think they probably saw an opportunity to make a move here, and not sure it's not a little bit of a payback.
Send a message.
Send a message.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ryan Newman. Newman lost a car here in a hard crash on Friday.
That was the battle for the 13th position. Junior took it over. Marty, how's this 12 car running?
Well, not so good so far, BP. This is actually an excellent backup car, as all backup cars are these days, This one won at Richmond in 2003, but struggling with it early on. Car extremely tight. They went up around the track bar, round of wedge out of the left rear. But Orion, the worst problem, said he has a very bad brake vibration. Whenever he's on the brakes, car vibrates very badly, and that's bad because here you have a lot of time on the brakes. Matt?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. got his old car chief and cousin Tony Eury Jr. back on his team. The first thing Tony did was get the car that they won twice with here. Same car Michael Waltrip finished second with in the spring. Right now, though, the car is pushing in the center of 3 and 4. That's his biggest issue as the 20 moves more to the front.
Tony Stewart, Brian Vickers battling for a position with Matt Kenseth watching. Up front, Greg Biffle leads the Checker Auto Parts 500. Our Chevy drivers to watch here at Phoenix, their best Phoenix finish. A couple of wins for Junior. Stewart has won here. Jimmy Johnson's best finish is second. One of the 4 tracks Jeff Gordon has never won at. Our Chevy drivers to watch. Greg Biffle continues to lead by about 2.5 seconds over Denny Hamlin. And right here, Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson racing for the 5th position.
Racing for a lot more than that.
Yes, sir. Johnson, the championship leader. Or check that, Stewart, the championship leader. Johnson trying to take it away.
but you can't do it by running second to the 20 car. Oh, close off the corner. Stewart takes a spot.
So Tony Stewart, the leader in the chase for the NEXTEL Cup, gets around the 48 car of Jimmy Johnson, and Matt Kenseth may be next. Marty?
Hey guys, don't mean to interrupt, but Greg Biffle just came on the radio, very panicked voice, said, guys, I have a loose wheel. He waited about 20 seconds, said, I'm just kidding. Remember last week, they had 2 loose wheels in that car. The team panicked for a moment. Now there's a moment of relief in the 16 pits.
You're mean.
I can't believe he would do that. That's something you would do, Wally. Did you talk to him before the race, Wally?
No, I didn't, but that's a good one.
Johnson about to lose another spot to Kenseth.
I was about to say that can't happen to Biffle 2 races in a row. Dave, how about car 17?
Well, he ran so well yesterday in the Busch Series race, Bill. Remember, he started back in the pack because he qualified very early in the morning. The track was very loose, and he had a bad starting spot. But at the end of the race, was running second in the final pit stop. Restarted 5th on that final run because they had a problem. But Matt was strong all day. Ended up the runner-up in that race yesterday.
So Biffle, with no loose wheels, continues to lead. When we come back to Phoenix, we will take you through the field. You're watching NASCAR live on NBC. More NASCAR information, log on to NBCSports.com. There's more on the chase for the NEXTEL Cup Championship. Let's check out analysis from Benny Parsons and Alan Bestwick. All that and more at NBCSports.com. Greg Biffle leads by just over 3 seconds in front of Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, and Tony Stewart, the top 5.
Great battle for that second spot.
We'll keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, let's take you through the field, presented by Speed Pass from Exxon and Mobil. And let's start with Marty.
Well, Bill, just confirming all 4 tires still tight on Greg Biffle's car. And after he played that little joke on his team, he said, you can all sit down now. The car turning very well. And obviously it's very good because he's in such a good mood inside that race car. Denny Hamlin also doing well. The car a little bit too loose for Hamlin, but it comes to him later in the run, tightens up very nicely in the middle of the run, running in second right now. Matty?
Kevin Harvick qualified 8th, runs 3rd. Now they brought the Bristol winner here to Phoenix. He's had a lot of confidence all weekend. They thought about maybe making no adjustments on their first stop. Then they made a slight air pressure adjustment that helped the forward bite off the corner. AB?
Carl Edwards' team picked him up a spot in the standings on their last pit stop. Carl sees Tony Stewart beginning to grow larger in his mirror and just asked his spotter, Bobby Hudson, what kind of line is Tony running? I'd like to know. Maybe it'll work for me. As for Tony Stewart, he restarted 8th at lap 30, has moved his way up now to 5th place. Just called in on the radio seconds ago, said, I'm really doing okay, but if you can find a way to give me a little more overall grip, I'd like it. Dave?
Crew Chief Robbie Reiser told me this morning, you know, this race will act a lot like those races that go from day into night. The track will change a lot, and whoever keeps up with it best is likely to have the fastest car at the end. Matt?
Back on lap 56, Jimmy Johnson finally settled into the 7th position. They made adjustments on their first stop to try to fix that real tight condition off turn 4. It hasn't helped. Still is fighting the same issues. So while he's running in 7th and Stewart's in 5th, how do you put pressure on the championship leader?
Racing around one another applies pressure both sides. You know, I think that if it would be possible to get out and be lead the most laps, and they're not having a day that they would expect to have, that would then bring in a new set of circumstances and a different type of pressure. So far, they've been on the marks. You know, so they've in some ways set the pace, and we've been trying to overdo that and overcome that. So I would like to flip it around and be the one up front, be the rabbit, and let them chase us.
Jimmy Johnson may let his teammate Jeff Gordon, who's right behind, try to learn something from the 24 because they're about 0.2 of a second faster. So Chad Canal said if he goes by, try to see what he's found. And what he's found is the adjustments they made, wedge and air pressure in the last stop, has really helped his tight race car. Snyder.
Well, Matt, 22-year-old Brian Vickers trying to get his first ever Cup Series win. Currently, he's in the 9th position. Early in the run, the car bottoms out and kind of gets tight on Brian, so they're having to deal with that, bouncing all over the racetrack. That's their biggest issue. Matty?
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to score his 3rd win here at Phoenix. Now, the car was a little free in the first run, but now it's pushing a little bit, he says, down in the center of 3 and 4, but manageable. Also, the 5 car, Kyle Busch, and I told him in driver intros, do you realize that since midseason, you have earned the 6th most points? He says, you're kidding me. I feel like we've run like junk. But that's good to know. His car very strong. And there's the 18, Bobby Labonte. Labonte. 2 races left at Joe Gibbs Racing. Now he has had some major issues with the car. Just no forward bite up off the corner. The wedge and air pressure adjustment hasn't seemed to help, Marty.
Matt Ryan Newman has done an excellent job. Started at the back of the field today, has worked his way up to the 13th position, trying to describe his car to his team. He said, you know, it's almost too good at the beginning of the run. It falls off in the middle of the run. That's what they're having to deal with right now. A little loose end, tied off. Scott Wimmer took 2 tires on the last stop. That was a good move. Gained them lots of track position. The car was loose, so they added a pound to the right front tire. Alan?
Well, Dale Jarrett's crew chief, Todd Parrott, took the call to make just right side tire changes only on their pit stop back at lap number 30 to try and get some track position. Jarrett started the race in 21st position. He's up to 15th, and he's being chased by Dave Blaney. Blaney's just a minute ago calling in on his radio, said his car still needs to turn a little bit better. Kevin Hamlin now calling the shots for Blaney on the radio as far as crew chief. Said, well, you're running pretty good lap times compared to the leader.
Sadler just lost that 16th place position to Dave Blaney. Now earlier in the race, his spotter, Brett Griffin, said there was like a big puff of smoke out of the back of the 38. Elliott switched ignition boxes, does not seem to have an electrical issue now. He 2-tired him on the first stop for track position. Dave?
Rusty took on format in his 19th and final stop here at Phoenix in the NEXTEL Cup car. His car's been loose all day. They made a track bar wedge or an air pressure adjustment on the first one. He still reports his car's a little bit loose as it exits the corner. Marty?
Well, Dave, with the help of Dale Earnhardt Incorporated Engines, Robbie Gordon easily made the race this weekend, starting 12th, but he's been struggling with a very tight race car right there from the center of the corner off. Can't get the car to cut, can't get back to the gas either. Currently, he's in 19th. Maybe?
Not much progress for Mark Martin so far in this race. He started in 29th spot. He's running 20th now. 4-tire change on their last pit stop. Martin just told crew chief Pat Tryson the adjustment he would like on their next pit stop needs to get going toward the front.
Thanks, guys. That's the top 20 in the running order. There are 31 cars on the lead lap. 2 cars just knocked off the lead lap. Kyle Petty and Kenny Wallace driving the 97 car, and Jeff Green about to go a lap down. Greg Biffle leads. Kevin Harvick has moved into 2nd place. Then it's Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards, and championship leader Tony Stewart as they run here at Phoenix. Around to complete lap 81. That's 50 straight laps of green flag racing here at Phoenix. Greg Biffle leads Kevin Harvick by 2.6 seconds. 3 seconds from the leader back to Denny Hamlin, then Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, and Matt Kenseth, the top 6. Jimmy Johnson runs 7th.
And Tony Stewart continues his terrific racing all through 2005, has moved into 4th, and is as fast as the... Oh, we might be in 3rd place in just a moment. That's Tony in the 20, Denny Hamlin in 11 as they try to get by Kenny Wallace in 97.
Wallace a lap down.
Stewart goes to the high side.
And Denny goes to the inside, and
We got a flat here, guys. Caution is out. Caution is out, Michael. Try to wheel it around if you can. You got the caution.
Second caution flag of the race. Michael Waltrip finished 2nd here in April. I'm trying to get that car back to pit road.
it's like another right front tire problem. On with it.
Ooh, that doesn't sound good.
No.
It's beating the fenders, and that's why he's going so slow. He's hoping it doesn't tear the fender off. It's trying.
Let's call up our singular wireless poll. Which driver will benefit the most from the change in 2006? A lot of guys on the move. Obviously, Kurt Busch, problems here this weekend, not racing here or at Homestead, but will join Penske. Jimmy McMurray moving to Roush. Casey Mears gets the 42 car. Bobby Labonte goes over to Petty Enterprises. To vote, text the word race to 191 on your singular wireless phone or go to NASCAR.com. You'll also have a chance to play Race Talk Trivia. A lot of guys on the move for next season. A lot of guys.
A lot of guys moving down pit road as well. Alan, Tony Stewart coming down towards you.
Yes, sir. Still talking to Greg Zipadelli just as he made the turn onto pit road about the condition of his car. Fairly happy overall, as he should be. He moved up a lot in that last run. Make a 4-tire change here and send Tony on his way with a small adjustment. Dave?
Matt Kenseth can't Stand on the gas hard, leaving the corner. Spring rubber out of the right rear, air pressure down on the left sides. Matt?
Jimmy Johnson says from part throttle to full throttle, the car is just so tight, they're going to make a chassis and even more air pressure adjustments for Jimmy Johnson's 48. The Snyder.
Well, Matt, Greg Biffle, your leader, said, you know, the car's loose, but I kind of like it that way, so let's not make a big adjustment here. Quarter round down on the track bar, and a pretty quick stop for the 16 bunch. This time they will hold serve on pit road.
So the guys charge off of pit road under caution. 84 laps complete in the Checker Auto Parts 500.
Tuesday, December 6th.
Okay. Well, you disagreeing with me is nothing new. So.
Yeah. Terrific race.
We can agree to disagree, right?
Yep.
It was a terrific race. You're right, Ben. I stand corrected.
All right. Lights out on the pace vehicle. That means we're coming down to a green flag.
This will complete lap 88.
How many kilometers is that?
88? Yeah. I'll get back to you on that. But that metric stuff's going to be big someday in this.
Yeah, that's what they told me in 3rd grade.
I was going to say 4th grade. All right. Green's out. Biffle and Harvick try and clear lap traffic.
And each time that Greg Biffle changes tires on the 16, it seems like it takes a few laps for him to pick up the ultimate speed on that car. We've seen a lot of pressure from the 11 car, and now Kevin Harvick.
And Harvick's usually made his move right on the restarts. The start of the race, the restart after the first caution.
And a lot of that has to do with what air pressures you're starting with after you make a pit stop. If they're really low, it usually takes a couple extra laps before you get those pressures built up to where the car feels good underneath you.
Matt?
And Bill, Kevin Harvick said right before that stop, I don't want anything major, just something minor. We were very close to where I want this race car to be. It's extremely strong at the beginning of the run. He just needed a little bit more forward bite. Marty?
In fact, Matt, Greg Biffle was just talking about what BP was talking about. He said they may have to fend Harvick off here for a few laps, but I think we can keep him behind him. Takes, as you said, BP, about 10 laps for that car to come in, and they did make an air pressure adjustment, Wally, on that last stop for Biffle, so that makes it a little bit more difficult, too.
Yeah, and it was probably, depending on which way they went, Marty, like I said, if they went down a little bit lower, it's going to take a little extra time. Look at this stack.
There's a lot of traffic there.
Man. Those 4 cars in front of Denny Hamlin in the 11, Kenseth in 17 are all a lap down.
But they're all racing for position.
As hard as they can.
And just in front of this, Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards got around this mess.
And they're leaving.
And Edwards has gotten around the 20 car for 3rd.
There's Jimmy Johnson right in the thick of it all. This is when you have to be patient when you're Jimmy Johnson. You got to just sit there and wait till this sorts out before you can run as hard as you can because, well, there's nowhere to go, number one. Number two, you want to make sure there's no wreck in front of you. But the problem is, while you're letting it sort out, the leaders are leaving. They've already put, what, 4 seconds on Jimmy Johnson right now on that restart.
The 17 car of Kenseth has gotten by Hamlin. Now Jimmy Johnson is trying to do the same thing.
There's Kenseth in the 17. There's Jimmy. That's Denny Hamlin in the 11. Started on the pole. Johnson on the inside. And you're behind him.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. just quietly moved up. He's up to the 8th position now.
Look at Jimmy Johnson and Denny Hamlin.
It's a little tight. Matt?
Bill, when you look at Jimmy Johnson's racing resume, you look at the point standings at the end of the year, he has finished 5th, 2nd, and 2nd. He said the one biggest thing he learned from last year's first chase, don't panic. They had a kind of a leveling off period, but they fought back. They just ran out of time. He said that's why coming into Phoenix, only 38 markers out of first. Nobody's panicking. Our team, we feel like we've got a great shot. We can still pull it off.
Jeff Gordon poking his nose there underneath Earnhardt Jr.
Tell you what, Jeff Gordon has a decent race car here this afternoon.
Yeah, you pointed that out earlier watching the lap times.
Got the spot.
Johnson trying to move away from the 11. Gordon, and Earnhardt trying to close in on Hamlin. Up front, it's Biffle by 1.7 seconds over Harvick.
All these cars right here look like they're handling pretty good. Down on the bottom of the racetrack, they all look like they're using the same track, which is a problem if you want to pass somebody.
But they got tied up in all that lap traffic on the restart and couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah. That's a tough thing about here on the restart. If you're not in the top 3 or 4 on a restart, you just lose a lot of ground if you get caught up trying to get by those cars that are lapping more down.
And there's 2 cars we're talking about. Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. started back 10th, 11th. But when the cars double up, that actually means they start 20th, 22nd.
And they're 8th and 9th right now, but they're 8 seconds behind Greg Biffle, who's the leader.
Hamlin is 7th and Johnson is 6th. He's 7.5 seconds behind the leader. There's that 97 car again. That is Kenny Wallace driving that. There are viewers tuning in throughout the race who want to make sure everyone is aware that Kurt Busch, the reigning series champion, was suspended from Roush Racing for the final 2 races of the 2005 season after a traffic citation here on Friday night for reckless driving. Dave, you got some more?
Well, just that it wasn't easy for Kenny Wallace to jump right into this race car. It wasn't fitted for him, so he spent about a half hour getting the seat adjusted, and then he had to borrow some equipment. We showed in the countdown to green today, we showed how he borrowed Greg Biffle's uniform. He got Rusty's earplugs, an extra helmet from Rusty. He even got the fireproof undershirt was Kurt Busch's, so were the gloves he's wearing today, and he did get a new pair of shoes out of the deal. Those will be Kenny's when this day is over.
24 looking underneath him, Matt.
And having a solid run, Bill, as he's working on the bottom now. Jeff said that the first run the car was really tight. They have made a lot of headway. The last stop they made some more minor adjustments, but they feel like that this car is really headed in the right direction where they need to be. He's just trying to hold up Dale Earnhardt Jr. at this point.
Just about a third of the way through the race here at Phoenix. Greg Biffle continues to lead by 2.3 seconds over Kevin Harvick. You watch NASCAR. NBC and Sony HD TV proudly present today's race in high definition. Greg Biffle, 5 wins in the first 15 races this season, has gone winless in the last 19, but is out front and strong today here at Phoenix. Leads by 3 seconds over Kevin Harvick. And Biffle right now just 92 points out of the championship lead with this race in Homestead next week to go.
Yep, and he's in that clean air, which helps a lot, Benny. Well, when these cars get out and away from each other, they're really fast.
Yeah, they are.
Harvick runs 2nd. Carl Edwards 3rd. Alan?
Yeah, Bill, the process of deciding what adjustments to make on these race cars as the day goes on, well, sometimes, the driver in the car knows what he feels. The crew chief has his notes in front of him. Sometimes, as Carl Edwards and Bob Osborne illustrate, you have to negotiate.
I'm going to take a half pound out of the left side, and I'm going to put a quarter pound in that right rear.
I'd be cool with like a quarter out of the right rear even. It's a little tight to begin with, but it seems like we're not losing a ton of time to anybody at the beginning.
We were a lot faster yesterday when you were complaining about it being loose, though, bud.
I know, but I'm telling you, what I'm telling you is we didn't make a run like this. I mean, it's only tight for 5 laps. We got to race it the other way for 50.
All right, I'll do what you're asking here, bud, but if it doesn't run this time, I'm going my way.
10-4, buddy. If you truly don't believe in it, don't do it, man.
No, I'm not going to take blame if it doesn't work. Danny Wally, you've both been there. It's hard to get the full picture of what's going on when you're sitting behind the wheel strapped in that race car. All you know is what you feel.
Yeah, and you're feeling it through your butt. And when the driver's telling you that the car's doing something, the crew chief has got to go with the driver's saying. If the driver's wrong when you make that change. But a driver cannot second guess himself. Where he feels something and he knows what's going on with that race car, and you're giving that information, I think the crew chief needs to go that way.
I agree with you. You know, in most racing, they have computers inside these cars that dictate all that stuff. But not in NASCAR NEXTEL Cup. The driver is the guy that has to relay that information to the crew chief and say, all right, this is what I want. And the crew chief has to believe, as you said, Wally, that the driver's telling them exactly what's going to make the car better. Oh, trouble! Junior in the wall hard up in 3 and 4.
Caution is out. Third caution of the race.
Car just made a right-hand turn as he entered turn 3. And he's a little hot. I don't blame him.
Well, you know what causes that.
Right front tires go flat and the cars want to go straight.
Jeff Green will be the lucky dog. He's going to try and get back to the pit road after Stewart goes by. On board.
Just sit, just listen. I mean, that's clearly a blown right front tire. Coming inside, we just hit the outside wall, guys. When the car goes into the corner and it just doesn't turn and go straight, that's a tire.
So Junior back to the garage. Stuck in the results of the Singular Wireless Race Talk poll. Remember, you can still text the word race to 191 to play Race Talk Trivia.
Amy McMurray's going to win that one pretty much hands down, and that was my pick.
He has the majority.
Well, moving from Ganassi to Roush Racing in 2006. See how it goes. Be driving the 97 car for Kurt Busch. So under caution, 114 laps are complete, and pit road will be a very busy place. Biffle leads them down. Long parade. 45 miles per hour. AB.
Crew Chief Greg Zipadelli reminding Tony Stewart what his pit road speed limit reading should be on the tachometer. Don't want to get one of those silly penalties now. He'll make a 4-tire change. You see the wrench going into the track bar adjustment slot on the lower side of the right rear window, Dave.
The adjustments from Matt Kenseth last time worked well. Very slight air pressure adjustment this time, but complaining about his brakes, Matt.
Now the front tire carrier tried getting a piece of tape off the front brake duct, still couldn't grab it on 2 tries. Track bar adjustment to try to free him up. Snyder.
Greg Biffle is our leader. He said much better takeoff speed on that run. Leave it just like it is. Love this car the way it is. A little bit loose at the beginning of the run. They will hold serve here on pit road, and very good at the end of the run as well for Biffle.
Race off of pit road. Looks like Mark Martin might have lost a lot of positions. We'll check on that when we come back to Phoenix. Greg Biffle, the race leader. Kevin Harvick is in second. Ryan Newman runs third after taking just 2 tires on his pit stop. Mark Martin came in 14th, had a loose lug nut, came out 21st.
Well, that 2-tire change did not work for Elliott Sadler and Dale Jarrett earlier in the race. We'll see if it works for Ryan Newman.
Dave Blaney from 19th to 10th with a 2-tire stop. Marty on the 12.
Yeah, Bill, I just asked Ryan Newman's crew chief, Matt Borland. I said, why the 2-tire stop? Because, you know, we're going to lose some positions initially. We'll kind of level off in the middle part of the run, and at the end, we would lose a lot. So hopefully this will be sort of a 20-lap run. That's kind of what we're looking for here. Gain the track position, and then take 4 on the next stop.
Go ahead.
So you're just gambling. You're gambling. The cautions are going to come out your way for the track position. But if they don't, this thing goes green for a long time. I think that's going to hurt the 12.
And all of a sudden, the 99 car seems to have lost some speed.
Or the 20 found a bunch.
20 is going by Ryan Newman. That puts him in the 3rd position. But the 99 was able to keep up with Tony Stewart the last time, not this time.
Well, I wonder if he made his changes or crew chief's change.
We'll have to check on that, see who won the negotiations. Matt Kenseth has been on and off of pit road, or was a couple of times under that caution, Dave.
Before he came to pit road, Matt knew he had a brake problem. They looked at the tires that came off, actually the wheels, to see if they could see brake fluid. The left rear showed some brake fluid, so they knew they had a problem. He came back on pit road again. I believe they closed off the left rear brake. I'm going to check with Robbie Reiser when things settle down a little bit back here. But Matt was having to pump the brakes, knew he had a problem. They found it. They hoped. They've corrected it. But Wally, what do you do if you close off that left rear?
Yeah, I'm just going to ask you. you're saying they closed off like they had a leak and they tightened it and fixed it, or they just closed the left
That's what I'm going to check on when Robbie's a little less stirring from this lightest issue.
Yeah.
But it was a caliper, they definitely said, and then I think
probably what they meant is there was a fitting that was loose and they just closed it off, which means they tightened it and hopefully fixed it. Just closing the left rear caliper off completely would be real tough.
You can have all kinds of brake problems at a track like this, BP.
It really is. You're going down the race, down in the corners, probably 150, 60 miles per hour, and brakes are a problem here. And how they keep these brakes on the car is with cooling. Let's go inside our Home Depot virtual garage and once again talk about brakes. We talk about this all the time, but we see those 3 hoses. Those are in the grill of the car. They pick up that cold air. When you apply the brakes, those rotors get up 1,500 degrees sometimes. That's way, way too hot. So to cool them down, use that air comes in, blows on the calipers, the rotors, and cools them down to about 1,000, 1,100 degrees, something livable.
Our Home Depot virtual garage.
And you use the brakes here quite a bit. You know, you go down to turn 1 and you really get on the brakes, you know, fairly hard. You're not on them for a long time, but you're spiking them. You're spiking them, and that means you're getting the rotors real hot, real fast.
Ryan Newman with the 2 tires. Carl Edwards with 4 fresh tires. Edwards' car looks like it gets a little bit better, and he's going to make the move inside of Newman. This is for 4th.
You know, that 12 car, I said this before, he's hard to pass. I'll tell you, he just does not lay over when these guys get alongside him. He fights them every lap of the way.
Again, that is a backup car for Ryan Newman. Hard crash here on Friday in practice, right at the end of practice. So this car basically started with no laps on it except the qualifying laps.
His car, Newman's car, looks a lot better after the 2-tire change than Jarrett and Elliott Sadler's cars, because they went backwards fairly quick.
Dave Blaney has dropped a couple of positions after taking his 2.
Edwards, a 99 car, is faster than 12. There's no doubt that he gets by Ryan Newman, he'll be able to drive away from him. But Ryan Newman, to his credit, does not just move over and let these guys go by. Alan, what are they thinking about 2 tires down there?
Well, Benny, what I'm hearing from a lot of guys is that it depends on how your car is balanced. If you have a car that has good balance, you can put 2 tires on and keep that balance. But if you've got a car that's got a lot of handling problems to start with, it's not going to do anything to help them. You might get some track position, but you'll slide backwards. So Ryan Newman's car obviously is fairly well balanced to allow him to hang in there. Marty, what are they saying?
I'll answer that question for you, Alan. Actually, they were extremely loose. They made a wedge and track bar adjustment on that stop, right? But I like the 2-tire gamble. And Wally and Benny, I'd like to see what you think. They gained 15 spots. It's hard to gain 15 spots. So in my mind, it's worth the gamble, don't you guys think?
Well, Alan brings up a great point. If your car's handling well and you're not using those 2 tires as a crutch just to get track position, then yeah, it's a good move. But your car has to be handling well in order to get away with that.
The problem, if they have that caution flag that Matt Borland was talking about, if they get one in 25, 30 laps, it was a great move. If it goes 70, 80 laps, it will not be a good move.
Edwards got around Newman for position. Greg Biffle continues to lead. It's Biffle, Harvick, Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, and Ryan Newman in the Checker Auto Parts 500. Window with the car of Matt Kenseth, Benny.
First of all, he makes a pit stop. He goes over the line. Watch the NASCAR official here waving. You've got to back up. You have to be in your pit box when you make a pit stop. But that created a huge problem because let's go a camera and level. The wheel is loose when he has to back up. So the tire is off, but somehow the tire stays on there long enough. It doesn't fall down and ruin the quarter panel until they can get the jack under it and fix the brake problem that they had. But they haven't fixed that brake problem, I don't believe, because he is slow on the racetrack.
He's about ready to put a lap down by Greg Biffle.
Yeah, they worked on it, Dave, but they may not have fixed it, huh?
Now, they're still talking about what they might do. In fact, they thought it might be the piston in the left rear caliper. Matt has told Robbie, you know what? If we can fix it and only lose 1 lap, let's do that. Or we can stay out and probably limp around and maybe get the lucky dog a couple of times and just take our licks down here. Either way, it's not the best situation.
That's something they'd only be able to fix, obviously, under a caution flag to try and lose just one lap.
Right.
Greg Biffle continues to lead. There's a nice pack.
Denny Hamlin there, Jeff Gordon trying to get a spot from him.
It's around the 7th position. Hamlin has it. Gordon wants it.
Kyle Busch in 5 car, and Michael's in there. I think Michael's lapped down.
He and Mike Bliss both from the 0 had flat tires and caused their cars to be 1 lap down.
But Vickers is in there for the hunt. He's running 10th right now.
Yeah, he just got around Rusty Wallace. Wallace had worked his way from 26th to 10th.
Ryan in the 25 car.
Already approaching the halfway mark in this race. Open up the Wendy's race menu here for you. 1 weekend to go. Next week, Homestead Miami Speedway in Florida. NASCAR Busch Series Racing at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Saturday over on TNT. We'll crown a champion after that race. And then Sunday on NBC, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, the season finale for the NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series. And we'll crown the 2005 champion. Coverage next Sunday, 3 Eastern on NBC, begins with the Bank of America Countdown to Green. And we will have you all primed and ready for the last race of the year. There's Greg Biffle out front by 4 seconds over Harvick.
Boy, that 16 car has been really, really fast today. Doug Richard, Bobby McKeith, all those guys on this team have done a great job.
And rebounding from
last week.
Yeah, that which was really a struggle for him.
If you didn't join us last week, the 16 car was, obviously wasn't as fast at Texas as he was here, but a left rear tire was loose, not quite tight on the pit stop, had to make an unscheduled stop and spun out twice, and it was not a good day.
Marty?
Well, Bill, he is making it look easy today. As you said, as you see, he's led 120 laps today. This car just perfect. Biffle said, in fact, it just keeps getting easier to drive and was very complimentary to the team over the radio.
God, you guys can make me look so good giving me cars like this. This keeps getting easier to drive.
And there you go. And he was curious, believe it or not, about tire wear. He said, I can push it a little harder if the right rear looks good to you guys. He's got a little bit more in that 16 car than he's even showing us now.
He's in a lot of traffic, and it's not just the driver that gets it done. It's the crew. Those were the guys that were thanking. He was thanking, and here are the guys that got him off pit road first.
Doug Richard, San Jose, California.
Jeff Silver, Forest City, North Carolina.
Adam Emmert, Kamei, Idaho.
Jeff Merkel, Long Island, New York.
TJ Hamilton, Greensboro, North Carolina.
Joe Slingerland, Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
Roger Olchey, Ridgefield, Washington.
John Goodman, Huntersville, North Carolina.
Wayne Deloria, Biddeford, Maine, now Hickory, North Carolina.
The over-the-wall guys and their pit crew coach for Greg Biffle, a championship contender in the NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series. He's out front by 4.2 seconds here at Phoenix. When we come back, we will take you through the field, approaching the halfway mark here at Phoenix. Still under green here at Phoenix. Take a look at how our Coca-Cola family of drivers are doing today. Not bad. First, second, and third. Bobby Labonte. 2 more races for Joe Gibbs. That makes the move to Petty. With Burton, Dale Jarrett, Michael Waltrip, and Kyle Petty, our Coca-Cola family of drivers. Approaching the halfway mark, Greg Biffle leads. Let's take you through the field, starting with Marty.
Well, Greg Biffle enjoying his drive through the desert here Sunday afternoon in Phoenix, Bill, and he's trying to add to Roush Racing's Phoenix high 5 wins and get their 6th win here. Biffle told me this morning, I know to win the championship, we have to win these next 2 races, but we're going to need some help from Tony Stewart and the other guys right now. They're not getting that. Matt?
Kevin Harvick had a great run going here in the spring, but ran out of gas with 1 lap to go. Running in second, he's really cut into that 4-second deficit now, down to 2.4. AB?
Tony Stewart running third. Pretty good spot for the championship leader to be in as we cross the halfway point of this race. Tony calls this racetrack in Phoenix his second home. Thousands of laps here. He says, I know all the sweet spots. Carl Edwards talked about trying to change what he's doing behind the wheel to help his car's handling a little bit. Using the term little to describe the help he'd like with the car, he said, maybe I'm overcharging. I'll try that for a couple laps and see what happens. Marty?
Alan, crossing into that territory, Matt Borland was worried about. Ryan Newman's done an excellent job, came out third on those 2 tires, has hunger and fist that the car is still loose, especially off of turn 4, and holding their own up there, still in the top 5. Matty?
Now, Marty, the track bar adjustment seems to have helped the entry for Jimmy Johnson. He says the car is still tight. Then on lap 140, he said, I'm really, really tight. Chad Canals is warning him to go easy on his brake. Looks like he's using too much brake. Marty?
Just the 6th NEXTEL Cup Series start for Denny Hamlin, obviously on the pole. His first career pole, doing an excellent job today. The farthest back he's been is 8th. Currently, he's in 7th. Little free in, little free off the corners for the 11 car right now. Matt?
Now, Jeff Gordon is running in the 8th position now. That's where he's been running the past few laps, trying to make some headway. But he says the car seems to have leveled off. He just has absolutely zero drive off of turn 4. Snyder?
Brian Vickers still having the problem of the car bottoming out early in the run. As the run goes along, it kind of goes away, but they're considering a major adjustment on the next stop. That would send them to the tail end of the line, giving up all of their track position. Otherwise, the car at the end of the run, very good, Matty.
Kyle Busch having a very solid run, rounding out the top 10. He says the car both tight and loose. They are making a little bit of headway, but he lacks so much grip. It takes him time to get back in the gas. Meanwhile, Bobby Labonte heading over to Petty Enterprises to be the 17th driver to race the famous 43, trying to end Joe Gibbs on a good note. Hasn't won in 2 years. Meanwhile, Elliott Sadler just outside the top 10 and 12, trying to make a strong run at that $1 million bonus for 11th. He is part of that chase. Started the day 13th in points, 52 out of 11. Dave?
Matt, Rusty Wallace may not get career win number 56 today, but at least on the last run, he liked the car. No changes in the chassis on that last run. Alan?
Well, on that last pit stop, Mark Martin's right rear tire changer had a lug nut fall off. They had to take the time to pick it up, put it back on. That dropped them from 14th to 21st position. Mark says passing these guys is like me trying to bench press 250 pounds. Mark probably doesn't weigh 150 himself. Dale Jarrett just behind them has talked about his car beginning to run warm. He thinks it's affecting the horsepower of the engine and the pull off the corners, like right there. Wants you to pull some tape off that grill opening next pit stop, Dave.
Jeff Burton came over the radio to his crew on lap 104. You know, it's not as bad as it has been. It's been very, very tight earlier, so the last run not too bad. They made just a slight adjustment on this last pit stop. The 0-1 of Joe Nemechek, they made a pretty big adjustment. They tried 2 tiring everybody. They took on 2 last time, made a wedge adjustment as well for a car that wouldn't turn in the middle of the corner. Alan?
Travis Kvapil started this race in 30th position. He's cracked the top 20. Slowly, methodically, trying to pass cars. You see him working on Joe Nemechek there. Best finish of the season for Travis, a 7th at Bristol. Dave Blaney's team, they took just right side tires only on their last pit stop at lap 115. They came in 20th, went out 11th. He has fallen back to 19th on those 2 tires. Marty?
Alan, here in 2003, Scott Wimmer kind of put himself on the map with a 9th place finish, solidifying his ride in the 22 car, a ride which he will vacate at the end of the season. He has just reported to the crew we have a bad vibration, though. Looks like the rear brakes are starting to lock up. Nice to see Robbie Gordon running solidly in the top 20. Robbie has missed 3 of the last 5 races. His car is a little bit loose in the 17 car. Slow in the track, Dave.
Well, they're talking about it. Just caught up with that situation, and Matt, of course, has been having those left rear brake problems.
Power, Robbie, no electrical power.
And now you hear Matt talking on the radio.
No electrical power.
I don't know, I got a
Having a big issue with the 17. He's going to bring it on pit road. It may be bigger than just the brakes, guys.
And there you see Kyle Busch was running in 10th. He has made an unscheduled stop. That will drop him deep in the field.
Now the 17 car is back running again.
And Tony Stewart has just taken 2nd place from Kevin Harvick.
A lot going on. 20 cars on the lead lap. Kenseth getting up to speed. Tony Stewart trying to chase down Greg Biffle.
Started back up.
Well, second half of this one should be pretty exciting. Biffle leads, Stewart chasing, Harvick 3rd, Edwards and Newman the top 5. Our coverage continues from Phoenix. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. A tire issue on Michael Waltrip's car has just brought out the caution. The field is coming to pit road, Alan.
Tony Stewart's team wants to keep making adjustments to this car to stay ahead of track conditions. But Tony told Greg Zipadelli just before pulling to pit road. I hate to tell you this, bud. I really like my balance right now. 4 tires for Stewart. Matt?
Now Jimmy Johnson still battling that tight condition, going back and forth about what adjustments. They were going to push a spring rubber into the right rear. They called that off. Didn't want to lose as much time on pit road. Snyder.
13-7 and 13-3 on the last 2 stops for the 16 bunch, Matty. Greg says the car's just a little bit tight. Quarter rounded wedge on the left rear. Another great stop for the 16 crew. Looks like they will win the race off pit road again.
Carl Edwards, second out.
So the parade off of pit road. Here's what brought out the caution. Michael Waltrip. Right front tire issue, similar to what his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. had earlier. It's the Warner Brothers recording artist Trap performing here before the race. They were loud. 100,000 fans on a sunny Sunday afternoon here in Phoenix. Greg Biffle won the race off of pit road. Jamie McMurray was the lucky dog.
But he has a car, Kyle Busch, directly in front of him. Talking about the leader, Greg Biffle. We saw Kyle Busch make that unscheduled stop, so now he is a lap down.
Matt told us that Kyle thought he had a tire problem, but did not.
Yeah, tail end of the lead lap. He's not a lap down yet, but Biffle's going to try to put him a lap down.
In a hurry. The 99 bunch with a solid pit stop. They got Carl Edwards out in front of Tony Stewart. 99 bunch beat the 20 bunch by about 7/10 of a second on pit road.
Yeah, 5 car got real loose off of turn 2 there, and that's all Biffle needed.
Biffle to the inside. Again, on these restarts, these lapped cars, lap traffic can be a big headache for guys.
Yeah, Stewart and Carl Edwards need to pick their way through this as fast as they can. Although this is hanging up Biffle. This will slow him down a little bit.
Might make him mad.
Yeah.
And the 0 car, Mike Bliss, he is, let's see, 1 lap down? No, 2 laps down. So he needs to get by Biffle to get 1 back.
Everybody's racing for something. Okay, we'll watch the action on the track. Check with Dave.
And caught up with Dale Earnhardt Jr. now. Junior, tire issue put you out today?
Yeah, I had a tire go down going into 3. We just put tires on not too long ago, and I looked at the wear. The wear was fine. Really wasn't anything wrong with the tire that I saw. Maybe just run over something on the racetrack, but had a real fast car. It's a shame for Budweiser and my race team because they did a great job all weekend, getting me in a great car. And we were going to the front, you know, just working our way up through there 1 car at a time, and felt like we was going to be there for the end to race for the win again here, but it's unfortunate.
Appreciate it, Junior. Thanks. Alex,
Bill. Casey Mears had his hands full.
Denny Hamlin chose the wrong line. He decided to go outside and end up about 3 deep down in turns 1 and 2. And now can't get back to the inside as Jeff Gordon's there.
Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace both use strong pit stops to get back inside the top 10. On board with Rusty, looking at Gordon. Rusty runs 9th. Martin is 10th. That is a pack of cars right there.
Yeah, you're trying to decide, let's see, who am I going to follow? Do I go with Ricky or do I go with Jeff? And okay, Jeff's going, I'll go with Jeff.
Rusty on the high side of Ricky Rudd.
Ooh, a little sideways there for Rusty.
That'll cost him. Well, Jimmy Johnson trying to right on the bumper at Mayfield. There's Martin right behind Rusty and Vickers.
Down in turn 1, the sun is starting to come through the windshield a little bit, but it's not terrible.
Johnson really working hard to get around Mayfield. Really needs the spot.
And Jeff Gordon finally gets by Denny Hamlin in the 11 car. A couple of laps ago, watch him push that 11 car down the front stretch.
Now Rusty's going to look low on Denny Hamlin. Hamlin tries to come down and close the door. This is back for 7th.
Oh,
what's that, Son?
Son is beginning to be look, where'd the car go? Oh, there he is, right on my front bumper.
That's going into one. Take you around for a lap with Rusty here. Denny Hamlin, who started on the pole right in front of him.
Just see how much different it is going in turn 3 with a clean racetrack in front of you. No sun problems. Now, as you go down this front stretch, and this problem will only get worse as the day progresses.
Now, let's see what Rusty's got, if he's got any dark visor or clear visor. Dark visor. That will help. Now, he's seeing it a little bit better than we are right now because we're looking at it through a clear lens. So the glare is not as bad for him.
Plus, this side of the windshield is clean as well.
Dive down in the corner, and like I said, you can watch the driver work the wheel. This place is so fun because you have to drive the race car.
Casey Mears in the 41. Mears is a lap down. Wallace runs 9th.
He slides up a little bit. Real easy on the throttle. Checks the mirror, make sure he's got him cleared. Goes after the next one.
He's got that tape visor or something there that's helping him too a little bit, doesn't he, on the windshield?
He has some tape on the windshield. Most of these cars have put tape on the windshield, kind of like a sun visor would have on an automobile. But this one you can't flip up and down. You just it's tape that stays there constantly.
Rusty trying to edge away from that pack behind him, catch the guys in front of him. Former winner here at Phoenix this week and next week for Wallace. Last fall comes up at Homestead next Sunday. Greg Biffle by 2.6 seconds over Carl Edwards. Tony Stewart another 1.5 seconds back as they run lap 185 here at Phoenix. Here's our Team Tylenol safety fact. Pit road speeds limited and are used to slow cars and protect crew members and officials on pit road. Depending on the track, pit road speeds range from 30 to 55 miles per hour. Our Team Tylenol safety fact.
And I tell you what, in the 70s and 80s when I was driving at Daytona Beach, it was terrifying making a pit stop because you came off turn 4 at 190 miles per hour and you didn't have to slow down. There was no speed limit on pit road. I've hit pit road at 100. Caution flag is out.
The way I hear it, it was more terrifying for your crew, the way they tell the story.
Well, that's right. I mean, hey, you got somebody coming to 190 miles per hour, and you don't know if he can stop or not.
By the way, you saw those people watching from the mountain. Next time Wally says he can get you tickets, ask you where they are.
There's cheap seats up there.
Yes, they are.
Happy to be there.
That's Kyle Busch. He's going to be the lucky dog in the 5 car. Greg Biffle, the race leader. 191 laps are complete.
On the backstretch. We've seen some flat tires today. It doesn't take much. As I said, tread on these tires only about 1/8 of an inch thick.
Well, it'll be interesting to see some of the strategy from some of the guys in the back. You know the guys up front are going to take 4, but Benny, as you were talking about a few minutes ago, that 2-tire strategy worked out for Ryan Newman.
It is because he's now in the top. He's 5th. So he can stop with these other cars, change 4 tires, and go out and race them.
Got 120 to go. And that'll zip by in a hurry here at Phoenix. 21 cars on the lead lap. Kyle Busch will make it 22 when he comes around as the lucky dog. Greg Biffle will lead the parade to pit road, followed by Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, and Ryan Newman. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Denny Hamlin, Rusty Wallace, Brian Vickers, the top 10. Here they come, and Alan has our first car.
Yeah, and Tony Stewart was just asking, are we pitting or are we staying out? Greg Zubidelli said, do whatever they do. They came to pit road. Here comes Tony Stewart. Make a 4-tire change on this car. Last time, Stewart's stop was 0.7 of a second slower than Carl Edwards. That allowed the 99 to beat him off pit road. We'll see what happens this time.
Jimmy Johnson has a clear entry now. He says we're going in the right direction. They're going to make another chassis adjustment as they come around to the left left side of the car. They are still tight to center. Snyder.
Well, Matt, 3 straight times this 16 crew has won the race off pit road. They're going to take 4 tires again. Biffle made a last-second call to take half a round out of the left rear of Wedge car. Just a little bit tight this time. They will not win the race off pit road. A lot of different strategy on this these pit stops.
Exactly right, Marty, including Rusty Wallace, who took just 2 tires. We'll sort out the running order when we come back to Phoenix. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series racing from Phoenix International Raceway is brought to you by Sprint, proud partner of the NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series. By Aflac, ask about it at work. By Wrangler, makers of Wrangler 5-star premium denim jeans. And by McDonald's.
Field has just gotten the 1 to go here at Phoenix. Our day began with the Bank of America countdown to green. And here's what you might have missed.
Now, this guy came to this county, insulted my deputies, called them wimps and everything else, and he was driving recklessly.
It only became clear this morning the extent to which we were all embarrassed through it, and the amount of that outrage that it was going to meet with the public at large, and the dissatisfaction that our sponsors had with what Kurt had done. And
man, it's just unfortunate, and you know, I'd love to be there for them today. That's the decision that they made, and I will live with it.
And how will this affect Kurt's future with Penske in any way?
Not at all.
Kurt Busch cited for reckless driving here near the racetrack on Friday, taken out of the seat this week and next week by Roush Racing. They black flagged the 21 car of Ricky Rudd for not letting Matt Kenseth into the line. Green has come out. The first 4 cars, Gordon, Wallace, Vickers, and Sadler, took just 2 tires under that caution flag pit stop.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've seen Greg Biffle racing with the 5-car Kyle Busch, so we know just how difficult it is to pass.
Jamie McMurray, Robbie Gordon, also 2 tires.
Whoa, look at this.
Rusty Wallace trying to get under Gordon for the lead.
Ooh, Biffle almost got squeezed into the wall.
Trapped in traffic back there. Update from pit road. Matt?
Bill, they basically took 2 tires because they had 18 laps only on their lefts, and Steve Letarte told Jeff, we have to pit one more time. We're not in our fuel window. Jeff said, look what the clean air did for the 5 of Busch. Maybe that could do the same for us. Dave.
Rusty Wallace's team studying as well. You boys upstairs noted that it worked for the 12 car. So did his teammate in the 2. They say it also worked for us at Loudon earlier this year. Let's try it. Marty.
And the same for Brian Vickers. They saw how well worked for Ryan Newman also, Dave. But more importantly for Brian, remember we've been telling you the car has been bottoming out all afternoon long. Well, they now fix that. Brian said the car much better, bottoming out much less, and they're very good handling-wise too.
Tony Stewart runs in the 7th spot. Jimmy Johnson 8th. Gordon and Wallace run 1-2. That's the race for 3rd right behind them.
Biffle is working his way forward in that 16 car. That's a battle for the 3rd position. Goes by Vickers.
Biffle has led 170 of the 200 laps today. Has already clinched the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. And that could be big next week. Boy, the clean air is big here in that lap traffic, man.
It really is.
Really bubble you up.
We've got Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson racing. Ooh.
Denny Hamlin.
And Scott Riggs has been having trouble or something because they've been just splitting him for the last couple of laps in the 10 car. There he is on the bottom right there, just struggling.
And again in that 97 car today is Kenny Wallace after Kurt Busch was suspended by Roush Racing for today's race and next week at Homestead. Alan?
Hey, just to follow up on what Wally was saying about the 10-car Scott Riggs, talking about the tires not feeling like they're down in the track, and struggle would be a very fair word for their day, Wally.
Yeah, they're not too good. They're going to the back in a hurry.
Watch these cars, 156 miles per hour down in this flat turn 3.
A lot of tough racing going on the track, but one race fan is missing this week, BP.
Dick Hutcherson, racer back in the 60s. I saw Darrell Walter Tuesday, and he told me a great story about Hutch. He had a business. See, Biffle trying to take that second spot away. He had a business in Charlotte where he built race cars, Hutch and Pagan. And Darrell bought a car from him back in the early 70s. But he wouldn't let Darrell pick it up unless he brought him a check for $25,000, the price of the car. Darrell called over there at lunchtime to ask if he could beg to pick the car up. Hutch was gone to lunch. So Darrell jumped in the truck, goes over there, gets the car, along with Jake Elder and Robert G. They head off for Dover. Well, Hutch comes back from lunch. Where's the car? Those guys picked it up. He called the Virginia State Police, had them arrest him. Arrest him. And finally, Darrell called somebody that promised to send him a check the next week that Hutch trusted enough, because he didn't trust Darrell well enough to get his money.
Hutch passed away this past week. He will be missed. I can see Darrell going and getting the car with those guys. And Hutch coming back. Oh, where's the car?
Where's the car?
Those guys got it. Gordon leads. Biffle to second. There's Tony Stewart in seventh. Johnson back in eighth. They're chasing Brian Vickers. Marty?
Well, Bill, they thought they had the bottoming out problem cured. Brian just radioed in and said, guys, again, the same thing on the beginning of the run. Bottoming out so bad, I can't get the car to turn in the middle of the corner. And he's hitting the racetrack in that middle of the corner, Wally, I assume. That'd be very distracting for you drivers, wouldn't it?
And he's hitting it where, though?
He just hitting the cross member right in the middle of the corner, right there is where he's hitting it. He said the car just bottoming out, and it kind of slides up the racetrack.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. It's like, you know, when you go down there, if it's hitting on a cross member, it keeps the car from turning, and it'll shoot up the racetrack.
A couple other things going on here. NASCAR was looking at the
trouble on straightaway. It's Riggs.
Riggs has gone around down the front stretch.
And Jamie McMurray has spun. I don't think Jamie has hit anything.
McMurray stopped on the front stretch.
But unfortunately, the engine, he gets it refired.
Turned him off the corner.
Heard somebody say Bobby Labonte got in the back of the 10 car off the corner.
His right side tires on the 42 car are both flat. Jamie McMurray right now.
He's on board with Riggs. He's got some serious damage.
Going to the garage.
It's probably the best place, Scott, to try to repair those problems would be the garage.
It's hard to say. NASCAR was looking at the 99 for possible smoke. May have been a tire rub. And one point about Jeff Gordon, he is one of those guys in that race for 11th, which with the bonus pays $1 million. Right now, Gordon has that 11th spot by 31 points over Elliott Sadler. Let's go to the replays, see what we can find.
Now, it looks like the 10 car, Scott Riggs down on the bottom, and these guys were just trying to get by, and Bobby Labonte turned them. And we talked about it earlier. Riggs was struggling, and right in the middle of it all.
Pit road is still closed. On board with Harvick.
This could be a good clear out.
Rick's got a little loose there. And here's a ride for you on board with Riggs.
He's down inside. He's probably thankful for that.
Meaning he doesn't have to go back out there with that.
Yeah, he doesn't have to keep driving that race car.
Okay, let's see. 209 laps complete, 103 to go. Guys were just on pit road about 10 laps ago.
Interesting to see how many cars will stop because they can't make it the rest of the way from here. Will somebody stay on the racetrack or?
Kyle Petty is the lucky dog. It's our Napa Field summary.
Ooh, they're going to have a tough time getting a jack under that thing.
You know, they used a flat tire jack here initially. A jack that is much thinner than a normal jack. They finally get it under.
So they work on McMurray's car. Let's see who's going to come down pit road.
No.
Nobody came up.
Except the 25 car to try to cure those problems of bottoming out.
Wow. Looks like Jimmy Johnson thought about it, but didn't. Under caution here at Phoenix.
Well, today Today, Ricky Rudd has made his 786 consecutive start, extending the all-time record for a driver, but that record will come to an end very soon. Rudd, who started his first Cup race back in March of 1975, announced earlier this week that this will be his last season as a full-time Cup Series driver. Only Richard Petty and Dave Marcus have started more races than Ricky, who says he's never had a sick day or never had a vacation, kind of like Bill Weber over that time, and he has spent more time with his family. That's why he's retiring right now, but it's not really a retirement, simply taking some time off. For more, log on to FordRacing.com.
Hey, Marty.
Yep.
Where were you yesterday?
I know, we gave Bill the day off, but, you know, he didn't want to take a vacation, did he?
Not exactly. I call that being benched. Paybacks, we've learned about those, haven't we?
Yes.
Hey, NBC tonight, don't miss this. Penn and Teller do an all-new magic show underwater. Most magicians guard their secrets. These guys explain it all. That's Penn and Teller off the deep end. What's new about that? Coming up tonight after NASCAR on the East Coast and 7 p.m. on the West Coast.
So they show how they do it?
They give you an idea. They don't exactly give away the...
Not like that other guy, the masked magician.
Yes. Uh-oh, there's a clue for you.
BP, cue the duck. Sound like a good idea. Bill, cue the duck.
Okay. Bring him on in here. Time for the Aflac trivia question.
Man, I'm
last driver to win Cup championship after finishing runner-up the previous 2 years. Holy smokes.
That's like Jimmy Johnson has finished runner-up the last 2 years. And the last driver to do that would be...
Alan Kulwicki, maybe?
No. I think it's probably a little earlier than that.
Yeah. Maybe Darrell Walter.
You got the right era.
Oh, Bobby Allison.
There were some tough championship battles back then.
I'm telling you.
Hey, next weekend, it's our championship battle. In fact, it's championship weekend from the Homestead Miami Speedway, Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern on TNT. The Ford 300, where Martin Truex Jr. and Clint Boyer will decide the Busch Series title. Then Sunday, right here on NBC, it comes down to the final one, the Ford 400. Coverage begins at 3 Eastern with the Bank of America countdown to green. The Busch race Saturday on TNT and the Cup race Sunday right here on NBC. Matt Yoakum.
Jeff Gordon says being out front, that clean air has really helped his race car. It's a little loose when he starts to ease out of the brakes going into the corner. You talked about Ricky Rudd's streak. Think about this. If the season stays at 36 races, it'll take Jeff Gordon to race number 26 of the 2015 season to tie Ricky.
Wow. We're going to find out how good Gordon's car is in clean air. Greg Biffle has a great car and took 4 tires last time they stopped. Gordon just took 2. Watch the lap traffic on the inside. 97 to go.
I wondered about that lap traffic like Jeremy Mayfield. If they stopped and changed 4 tires, they might be faster than the leaders. Carl Edwards trying to get by Ricky Rudd in the middle of 3 wide.
Biffle looking and gonna take it.
Greg Biffle to the lead. Marty.
Under the caution, Greg came on the radio, told his crew, he said, guys, I'm going to go for this lead as early as I can. Much different world back here in traffic than is up front for that nice clean air.
Heard about it all day.
Oh, we got trouble in turn 3.
Couple of cars going around. Bobby Hamilton Jr., Jimmy Spencer. Did Mark get a piece of it?
Skinner's in there.
Big Schrader on that one.
Well,
these cars, I saw these cars going down the backstretch. Spencer was 3 wide in the middle, and he tried his best to get out of that situation that I don't think was successful.
Somebody was judge and jury there for Kenny Schrader.
Wow. Skinner, we see water coming out of the radiator on that car, so
he's got a few issues there. Look at the bottom of the screen and see what we can. Nope, they've already got it going there.
I guess it was Spencer, Schrader, and Burton that were 3 wide, and all this behind them was just the accordion effect.
Here we go. There's Schrader down on the bottom. There's just like you say, you can't go 3 wide into turn 3.
Too many cars, too little track.
Yeah.
Another look.
There's Schrader on the bottom. There's Spencer in the middle.
Next car's a lap car, the 50. Stay with it.
Just no room.
Yeah.
So Spencer gets in the left rear of the 31 car. Let's go on board with his car.
That looked like there's about 5 guys involved, not just one.
And a lot of them had cameras. That's Jeff Burton.
Well, we know Jeff Burton is going to have to go to the garage pit area and try to. That fire is nothing to be concerned about, just some fuel in the exhaust.
Yeah, you can't convince me of that.
There you go. See one out. All they have to do is start it up.
Going to try and drive that back, huh? Marty?
Big debate on whether to come, and I think most of the teams will stay out, but there's debris all across the racetrack, so they did go through it. Now that's a concern if you do not come down like Greg Biffle did not and take new tires.
But Jeff Gordon did.
And Jimmy Johnson is coming on the pit road.
Johnson second in the championship standings, 51 points behind Tony Stewart right now.
These guys are stopping for the last time.
Because they can make it from here.
They can make it from here. Matt?
And Jeff Gordon does pit. Now, as you were talking, BP, they stayed out the last time. At the 48, Jimmy Johnson comes in. They were supposed to pit last time. Chad Carson, please pit this time. After that miscue, small air pressure adjustment, trying to help the 24 in the center of the corner, but his teammate will win the battle off.
And all the Hendrick cars are in pit lane.
Yep, Vickers came in. Jimmy McMurray's on pit road. Kyle Petty. So this could be a big move for Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. 93 laps to go. Some 3 wide, 4 wide, 5 wide racing at Phoenix. Trouble, caution. Right here on NBC. Let's check in with Matt.
And up here on the top of the box with Steve Letarte, Jeff Gordon's crew chief. How close are you as far as your fuel look to the finish?
Oh, we're real close, but you know where we're at in points, and we just really have nothing to lose. This DuPont Chevrolet team's been doing great all day, and we were sitting out there on 2 tires, and we really had it. We're kind of boxed in, so now we're on 4 fresh tires, and hopefully cautions fall right. We should be good.
And they will restart from the 15th position. Their teammate Jimmy Johnson directly behind in 16th. Marty?
Well, Greg Biffle was concerned about running through some debris. Are you worried about the tires you have on, Doug?
Hey, I'm worried about anything that he tells me. You know, you always take a chance of getting a flat and running over stuff. So, but you sure can give up the track position we got. I still think we're gonna, we got to pit one more time anyhow. But it was awful early to think we could go to the end from here. So, National Guard, posted car, running great today. We're just trying to, get to the end of the day and see what we can turn out. Try to make a little recovery from last week, maybe.
They were 10 laps short on fuel. That's why they didn't pit. Dave?
Scott Rigg was the reason for the lap 206 caution. I know your car didn't look like it was handling very well, but you got a little help.
Yeah, car wasn't handling well at all. We got 2 laps down on the racetrack. Kept making all kind of changes to try to get the push out of the center of the corner. Front tires just kept chattering in the center of the corner. We made all kind of changes and decided there that we wanted to actually stay out on old tires and see if we could get lucky and have a quick caution. Unfortunately, we were the caution. Those guys are running 2 by 2 behind me and in front of me and going 3 wide around me. And I guess I was just in the way, and Bobby was racing pretty hard on the inside. And I was trying to slow down and get down out of his way, but he pushed me around, turned me around. So we're just, man, I can't wait for another season next year to start.
Scott's okay, but done for the day. Bill?
Thank you, Dave. 88 to go. Green flag is out. Jeremy Mayfield, the lucky dog. Greg Biffle, the race leader. Edwards, Rusty Wallace, Stewart, and Elliott Sadler.
And Scott Riggs will drive for Ray Evernham next year in one of his Dodges.
Speaking of Dodges, they have not had a lot of success this season, and there was some talk in the garage area that some of the Dodge teams might try and bring an Intrepid to Homestead next week. And that would be an interesting development.
Which is their 04 car.
Yeah. Dodge only, has 3 wins this season. And they have not been happy. They've been lobbying NASCAR for a new nose on those Dodges. Have not gotten what they've asked for.
Matt Kenseth, the 17 car, is 3 laps down. He probably looks like he might be just a tick faster than Greg Biffle now, but he's not going to go up and get in front of his teammate and slow him down.
Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson pitted under the caution. Johnson now third in the championship standings, 16th last time by. In traffic with Gordon, Sterling Marlin, Dave Blaney.
Travis Quapple, 77, right behind Jeff Gordon.
And that's another danger of stopping right there. Put you back in all that traffic.
Oh, and trouble right behind them. Right behind them, the 43 car gets turned around.
Now the
caution flag is out.
He's inside of him.
Yeah, Jeff Green is not real happy with the 25 car of Brian Vickers, obviously.
That jerk since we restarted. Go ahead, Brian.
Alan. Hey, B.
Just before that happened, Jeff Green had come on his radio and expressed some displeasure at some displeasure that Brian Vickers had expressed to him in visual form as he went by.
They're very expressive, huh?
Yeah, you could say that.
Marty?
And Brian is saying that someone from behind him is who hit him into Jeff Green. So he's saying, hey, not my fault, guy. I don't know why you're trying to brake check me.
Oh, they'll get it all worked out.
What did Tony Stewart say on the countdown to green? Do we need more emotion?
Calm down, Brian.
No, I think he said we need more fistfights.
Well, yes. But we weren't getting that in the middle of the race.
The 31 car is right behind the 25. I guess that's what Vickers is talking about. Let's see if the 31, we've got a camera on board that car. Let's watch.
Yeah, I don't think you can blame the 31 on that one. No, don't think so.
Nice job, buddy.
Pit road is closed.
Pit road is closed.
Yeah, the 29's got some issues. If they're going under the hood, though, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Harvick's coming in anyway. Matt?
Ran out of gas with 1 lap to go in the spring. The issues now for Harvick, they've already changed the battery on the previous stop. Something is shorting out with this race car, the electrical system. They've swapped to the ignition boxes. They're talking now about maybe switching batteries again.
All right, green flag on the pit road now. Can these cars make it from here the rest of the way?
Sure they can.
So here comes Biffle. Here comes, I guess they can.
Alan.
Yeah, not a question of fuel mileage from this point forward, Bill. A matter of track position. They know there are going to be some guys stay out on the racetrack this time. How many stayed out if they did not pit? That was the discussion for Carl Edwards and his team. A 4-tire stop here, Dave.
Rusty Wallace was planning on staying out. Last second, leaders came in. They said, let's come in. Crew jumped to the wall. 4 tires, no changes, Matt.
Elliott Sadler's game plan, do what the 20 of Stewart does, and that's exactly what they're doing. Now a track, no track bar, but a air pressure adjustment for the 38. Snyder?
Greg Biffle's still going to be about 5 laps short on fuel, Matt, but they decided to come down pit road anyway, counting on some caution laps later on. He'll lose some spots on pit road with that 4-tire change. No changes on the chassis.
Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon played that one right. Or got lucky just right.
Exactly. Well, sometimes your strategy makes you lucky. We'll see what happens. Field coming around to get the green flag. A number of strategies here. Kyle Busch, Bobby Labonte, Robbie Gordon, Dale Jarrett, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Travis Quapple up front.
I think every car on the lead lap has a different agenda going on now.
Ricky Rudd back on the lead lap right now.
Kenny Wallace in the 97 was the lucky dog.
Tony Stewart, our leader, is back in, our points leader, is back in 7th.
Yeah,
Contact up there.
I smell a yellow coming.
Back in here, it's a real dogfight.
So many guys racing for so many different things. Not just the race win and the championship. Points position, that 11th spot in the standings.
36th spot in the standings.
Yeah. The 35th, 36th for in owner points for next year.
And the deeper you get in the season, when you haven't had a lot of success, the hungrier you get, and sometimes the more aggressive.
Spots lock you in if 36, 35, 36, they're all locked in next year. If you're outside of that, you've got to qualify your way into each race.
And fuel mileage is going to be huge here if this stays green. 78 to go. There's Johnson in the 48.
The way they're racing, I don't see you in the world that can stay green.
I don't think it's going to stay
Just
green either.
pointing out the possibilities, man. Oh,
they're just looking for a place to wreck, Bill.
Johnson.
Yeah. I mean, there's 77 laps to go, but it's
back in here, it's a real dogfight.
So many guys racing for so many different things. Not just the race win and the championship. Points position, that 11th spot in the standings.
36th spot in the standings.
Yeah. 35th, 36th for in owner points for next year.
And the deeper you get in the season, when you haven't had a lot of success, the hungrier you get, and sometimes the more aggressive.
Spots lock you in. If 36, 35, 36, you're all locked in next year. If you're outside of that, you've got to qualify your way into each race.
And fuel mileage is going to be huge here if this stays green. 78 to go. There's Johnson in the 48.
The way they're racing, I don't see you in the world that can stay green.
I don't think it's going to stay
Just
green either.
pointing out the possibilities, man. Oh,
they're just looking for a place to wreck, Bill.
Johnson.
Yeah. I mean, there's 77 laps to go, but it's kind of like you got to go right now. You can't be
almost like every lap's the last one.
right. You can't be patient now, especially with these guys out front. They're stretching it.
Allen.
Hey, remember we were talking about the strategy being a negotiation between the driver and the crew chief sometimes? Well, the driver generally has final say on that when he has the steering wheel in his hand. Todd Parrott, I think, was expecting Dale Jarrett to pit on that caution. Dale stayed out. He told Todd on the radio, I got a feeling about this.
Sometimes you just got to go with what you think.
I tell you what, I saw that right front brake road on that 88 car going down the corner. It is cherry red.
He's been smoking the left front, the 88 car Dale Jarrett, going into the corner, especially down to turn one, and there as well. And I guess it's just a fender rub.
It's inside of Schrader. Now watch this. Just a few laps ago, close call for Carl Edwards, and watch Tony Stewart in the 20.
Whoa. Oh, my goodness. Carl Edwards inside of Kyle Petty. It's sideways, and Tony Stewart goes by on the outside when Carl lost his momentum.
Just to be lucky.
Stewart up to 13. Tony in that traffic. Wimmer in front of him. Elliott Sadler behind him.
Stewart's just got no place to go, AB. He's just kind of trying to pick his way through, but he's got to be careful.
Allen.
Just talking about Tony Stewart, we haven't really talked about him in, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, because he has not been moving any farther toward the front. He keeps asking that he'd like the car to turn a little better, but he likes the way his car feels, and I think they're just afraid to make a big swing at a chassis adjustment.
Right now, Tony Stewart leads Jimmy Johnson by 2 points in the championship standings.
Jimmy Johnson is running 4th. Tony Stewart is running 13th on the racetrack. But Tony, if we stay green, will progress towards the front. I think.
You think? That's his plan.
That's the plan anyway.
Got to work through all this traffic. Wimmer.
Very
close racing.
Man, all over right now.
I mean, Tony came off turn 4. All he had to do was move up a little bit, get hooked in the right rear, and turn in the wall by the 22.
That's
well,
neat.
one of these things is like guys like the 20, they're going to respect the guys that are running for the championship a little bit more than normal. You know, they know these guys running for a championship, so they're going to give them a little bit more room. They're going to cut them some slack a little more, especially with 2 races to go.
That's Nemechek in the 0-1. Stewart gets by him.
Moves into the 10th position. Well, that shade down in turn 1 is a blessed thing. The grandstands they built there blocks the sun quite a bit. And we had Sadler 38 trying to work his way towards the front.
He's inside of Nemechek. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch leads by 2.1 seconds. This is for 5th. Jarrett has it. Gordon taking it away. And Biffle behind them in 7th.
Wow. Biffle just closed up on those guys. His car's so much faster than these 2 guys right now.
He saw his opportunity and took it. Marty?
And they knew this would be a little bit more difficult for Greg Biffle. Clearly the class of the field today. Car is tight when he's in traffic, so they're cautioning him as he's working around these race cars. And again, to remind you guys, they are still 5 laps short on fuel. They need caution flags between here and the end of the race.
Really?
Those Roush cars and fuel mileage now.
Yeah, that's one word. That's not 2 words goes the same sentence. The Yates Roush engines and fuel mileage, you would not say the same thing in the same sentence because they have a lot of horsepower, but it takes fuel to run that power.
So Biffle working on Gordon. Biffle has led 184 of the 244 laps. Bobby Labonte runs 2nd. Robbie Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Gordon, the top 5. Although Biffle trying to get there.
Trying to take that spot away from Jeff Gordon.
And again, Gordon in that battle for 11th. And for another win. Biffle gets the pass completed in front of Gordon. When we come back to Phoenix, we will take you through the field. Kyle Busch leads Bobby Labonte. At Phoenix, here are our Little Debbie lap leaders, 4 drivers. Greg Biffle, the only one of the chase contenders that has led today. Race high 184 of the 251 laps completed. Here's how the guys in the chase for the NEXTEL Cup Championship are faring today. Tony Stewart's been in the top 10 all day. Currently runs in the 8th position. Jimmy Johnson using pit strategy to get ahead. Question is, does he have enough fuel to get to the end? Carl Edwards just had that skirmish with Kyle Petty. Greg Biffle, as we talked about, has been strong all day. Mark Martin currently runs 15th. Matt Kenseth has been having brake issues. They may have those solved. Ryan Newman's in a backup car. Kurt Busch suspended by Roush Racing for the final 2 races of the year after a traffic citation here on Friday night near the Speedway. Rusty Wallace trying to finish strong. Jeremy Mayfield, the last car on the lead lap.
Now you can see why we're talking about track position here at the Phoenix racetrack and how important it is. The 48 car, the battle for 3rd position with Robbie Gordon in the 7th. The 48-16, they're a little bit faster than Robbie Gordon, but you see just how difficult it is for them to get by.
Trying to get back to the front. Denny Hamlin, the pole sitter, has gone around and the caution is out. Rookie won the Bud Pole in qualifying here yesterday. He's been on the lead lap throughout the afternoon.
Some help here. He's got the 29. Yeah, he's already loose by the time Harvick got to him.
Harvick kind of finished the job, turning him around.
Another look.
I don't think Harvick ever touched him.
Sure doesn't look like it. He didn't get it. Well, now we'll know. Oh,
Yeah, a little
He got him. Doesn't take much.
It's just a camera.
All right, now then. Is pit road going to be open? Looks like it will be. It is. How many cars will come down pit road?
Well, you know, Bush, Labonte, Gordon, they're going to come.
Looks like everybody's going to come.
All right. 57 to go. Allen.
All right, Tony Stewart, who has lost a spot on pit road to Carl Edwards a couple of times today, looking to see if he can hold the advantage he has on him now. Tony said he wants 4 tires. He wants the car freed up a little bit. Means it'll turn better in the center of the corner. Matt?
Now, the team was telling Kyle Busch conserve fuel, but he felt like he was overworking the tires. No changes for the 5. His teammates in 24 and 48 as well. Snyder.
Well, Matt, Greg Biffle said the only change I need is a little track position. 4 tires. They come in 5th. There'll be no chassis changes to the 16 car. He said very good on that run. They're a little concerned about it in the long run, though. He will leave pit road losing some spots this time.
He sure will. Lost a bunch of spots. Well, 56 to go. We'll sort out the running order, go back to green flag racing when we come back to Phoenix. Hey, NBC tonight, Saturday Night Live goes prime time with the best of the 80s. The funniest bits, the biggest stars. Saturday Night Live in the 80s. Tonight, 9, 8 Central on NBC. Some funny stuff there. And some serious stuff here. Scott Wimmer, Dave Blaney, Brian Vickers did not pit. Behind them, Jeff Gordon, Elliott Sadler, Kyle Busch. Jimmy Johnson is 7th. Tony Stewart, 13th. 54 to go. This is going to get real racy right now.
It's going to get rough.
Oh, it's going to get real tough because we have every different strategy known to mankind in racing. No tires. Cars didn't stop. Cars on 2 tires. Cars on 4 tires.
Rusty Wallace among the guys on 2. Marty, what are you working on?
Well, just to update you, Bill, Scott Wimmer and Brian Vickers, 2 of those top 5 cars have stopped for the last time today. Problem is they got to hold that whole herd behind them, but they are not planning on coming to pit road again.
Well, as long as they run 2 side by side, it'd be difficult for those cars to get by them.
Wimmer in the 22, Blaney in the 07.
Harvick, the 29 car, is a lap down.
Matt?
Jeff Gordon, Bill, sitting right there in 3rd position. They took right side tires only. He felt like the shade down in turns 1 and 2 was hurting him just a bit. He's never won here. He'd love to put a check mark next to that on his goal list.
Boy, he sure would. Gordon has never won here. Roush cars have won 5 times, including 4 of the last 6.
Boy, these cars are really starting to use the apron a lot more, too. I mean, a bunch of these cars were all over that thing in 3 and 4 that lap.
Wimmer's still out front.
See Harvick, there's nowhere to go. He wanted to go down on the inside, but that would have been a crash.
Harvick is a lap down.
He'll get his lap back, I think, if he can get these guys to sort out.
Well, he's racing mirrors for the lucky dog.
Right.
Allen?
Hey, Bill, just to talk about Dave Blaney for a second in that 07 car. Did not pit under the caution. Had back at lap 229. New crew chief Kevin Hamlin saying we're good to the finish on fuel. We got to lose.
We're going to find out.
Casey Mears, 41, goes by Scott Wimmer, but that just puts him back on the tail end of the lead lap.
Butch Harvick was happy to see that because now he's the lucky dog. If the yellow would have come out.
Ricky Rudd, by the way, was a lucky dog under the last caution. Scott Wimmer's best finish in 2005, 14th at Bristol, back in August.
Biffle on the inside of Jimmy Johnson coming off turn 4.
Two championship contenders. Biffle trying to get the spot. Biffle has led 184 laps today. Johnson has not led a lap.
And I think we've talked about this a lot today with the 16 car not having clean air. It's hurt him. He's not as good in traffic as he was when he was out front. Marty?
Well, you're exactly right. Biffle just talked about that, about how it's a different race car when it's in traffic, so tight and not handling the way he would like. But when he was out front, it was such a better race car, so they want to get him out front as quick as they can, but he also has to be patient working through these cars. Matt?
Chad put 4 tires on Jimmy's car on the last stop. He just told him on the radio, look, if you have to follow the 16, that's all right. He seems to have found a little bit better line.
Wow.
Well, Kyle Busch just used that apron and tried to drive up on the inside of the 07 and did it.
Greg Biffle wants by. Matt, how about Kyle?
What a day he has had. Now think back to lap 162. He came on the radio and said, I've got something wrong with my tires. Thought he had a right front going down, pitted under green. Turns out all the tires were fine. Then he got the lucky dog. They have worked pit strategy. Now he's up the front. And like Alan Gustafson told me this weekend, their biggest issue this year has been consistency. He's had that pretty much all day.
Busch runs third, chasing Scott Wimmer, who started 40th today. Wimmer, go ahead. Wimmer won the Busch race here in 2002.
But Wimmer has some company. Jeff Gordon, 24 on the inside.
Well, the longer this thing goes, the guys that haven't changed tires or only had 2 tires, it's just going to be worse for them because guys that have 4 tires are going to be better as this goes along.
This is for the lead. Jeff Gordon in the 24, Wimmer in the 22.
I believe the 5 car might be the best car from the route from the Henry camp today.
I think the 16's better than all of them.
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
You want close racing?
You got it.
On the Phoenix.
Truck's going to have to build more seats.
This is great stuff right here. Biffle works the high side.
Gordon.
Scott Wimmer's not giving it up.
Like you said earlier, BP, nor should he.
No, sure should he. That's right. And the 5 car goes back by Biffle on the outside.
This is for the lead. The 5 around the 24 as well. That's for second. The 22 at Wimmer leads. Kyle Busch second. Gordon third. Biffle coming on the outside in the 16.
And the 5 car going for the lead. And I think and Biffle goes past Jeff Gordon. Boy, he's using that apron going in 3, talking about that 5 car, isn't he?
And Jimmy Johnson is trying to catch this pack, and right behind him, championship leader Tony Stewart. Single file for a moment.
They need to catch their breath. Now we'll see if Biffle can clear the 22 car of Wimmer and then go after Busch.
I don't think that'll take real long.
Now Biffle is just about at that clean air stage where he was so strong earlier in this race.
All right, Biffle gets by the 22 car, but this 5 car, Kyle Busch, is fast.
39 to go. You see the front 4 right there. Then it's Johnson in 5th and Stewart in 6th.
Jimmy Johnson's got to look up in the mirror and go, no, man, not again.
Can't be back there again. Gordon trying under Wimmer again. He's got him. Gordon to 3rd. Allen on Tony Stewart.
Hey, Bill, a couple things. Tony Stewart, a little frustration down here in his pit because Carl Edwards got off of pit road ahead of them on that last stop. But since the restart, when he took the green in 13th position, Stewart has not only passed Edwards, he's passed a few other cars as well to move up in the running order up to 6th place, while Edwards is kind of hung back just about where he restarted.
You're right, Allen. 13th last time by. Now Stewart thinking about going inside of Jimmy Johnson. These guys 1-2 in the championship picture. Stewart number 1. Johnson is 2nd.
Johnson opened it up for him, so Stewart's down on the bottom. Drag race to turn 3.
Stewart to 5th. Johnson to 6th. Matt?
Bill now surprised that the 20 got by the 48 of Johnson in turn 3. That's where Jimmy's had the biggest issue today on his entry.
Yeah, he's been fighting that all day.
Yep. When you're following a guy, you can see that. So you just wait and wait and wait till you get your shot. Now Tony's going to start picking them off. Going to work on Wimmer next.
Robbie Gordon's sitting there in 7th spot. Looked like he's coming up on the back bumper of Jimmy Johnson.
I'm just surprised that Carl Edwards had not. We've seen him all day in that 99 car go forward, but this time he is not. If it's just track position, back in a group of cars, or he has a problem.
Or you got to keep up with the racetrack as well, because it's one of those places that does change as the race goes on, so you have to keep up with the track. What's he saying, AB? Anything?
No, not a thing, Wally. I'm kind of surprised by that. I thought he might have chimed in by now, but I've been monitoring for the last several laps. Haven't really heard anything out of Carl Edwards.
Restarted 12th, runs 12th. See if Johnson get around Wimmer. Let's check the leaders. Here comes Biffle up on Kyle Busch.
Coming off 2, Kyle Busch is going high on the racetrack. If Biffle can keep the 16 car on the bottom and get back on the throttle, he might be able to do something with Kyle Busch.
And this is just really tires right here. You can't run the bottom if you have old tires. Your car's going to slide more, so he's going to slide. Biffle's got better tires, so he can run the bottom. It's just a matter of time.
Biffle got him.
Well, not yet. Maybe this time. Now I think he has him.
Marty on Greg Biffle.
And it's also chassis, Wally, that, you know, Biffle's been better the longer he's run all afternoon long. Those tires certainly helping, those 4 new tires for Biffle. But the longer they've run, the better this race car has gotten all day long. Matt?
Well, when you look at the 5 now, his tires, he took 4 tires in the last stop, so he didn't go the 2-tire issue like some guys did, like the 24. His issue, though, the car is just a little tight.
Coming back on it.
Tell you what, he's doing a fantastic job, is Kyle Busch, coming back on that 16 car.
Wheels touch the apron. This is for the lead, 31 to go. Kyle Busch got the win at California earlier this year. Biffle has 5 wins this season. Biffle has moved up to 3rd in the championship standings. 92 points out. Right now would have a shot next week at Homestead.
I don't know, that 5 car's hanging real tight.
Yeah, he is. So they both took 4.
Yes.
I must have had technical difficulties in my head. I thought he took 2. Woo.
And now all of a sudden, Carl Edwards seemed to be going forward. He's up to 9th. Alan?
Yeah, Benny, I talked to the team a few minutes ago, and they were talking about how it just takes their car a little while to get going. It seems to be going. Crew Chief Bob Osborne telling Carl his lap times are as fast as, if not faster than, the leader.
Oh, man, he's got 6.5 seconds to get to the leader.
Yeah, on the last round of pit stops on 256 is when they all took the tire.
Okay. What? That car's hanging in there.
He is hanging real tough. It's like he's got the lead. As strong as this 16 car has been all day, it looked like when he got in front, he would drive away, but...
Take care of your stuff here. You get it back.
Kyle Busch, younger brother of Kurt Busch. Kurt was suspended by Roush Racing today for the final 2 races of 2005. Was cited by a county sheriff for reckless driving near the track on Friday night. And this morning, after consulting with team sponsors, Car owner Jack Roush decided to suspend Kurt Busch for the final 2 races of the season. Earlier this week, Busch was released from his contract for next year to make the move he wanted to make to Penske Racing. So Kyle Busch, his younger brother, out front.
And he's starting to put some space in between him and Greg Biffle.
Just 26 laps to go. We have 1 minute and 20 seconds of commercials to work in. We'll do that here. Come back, take you to the finish at Phoenix.
I'm Dale.
Mondays over on USA Network. Don't miss Raw this week. Find out who gets the final slot on the Team Raw for the 5-on-5 Survivor Series. Sounds serious. Don't miss Raw live Monday at 9 only on USA.
Bonte passing Jimmy, or trying to pass Jimmy Johnson on the high side. Going into turn 3. Got it. 5th spot.
Bobby Labonte headed for Petty Enterprises next season. J.J. Yaley will drive that 18 car. Cost Johnson a few more points.
Another 5 points.
Robbie Gordon.
And Rusty Wallace is on pit road.
Oh.
Dave, what's going on?
Well, Rusty was having a mediocre day. Then it got bad when they had a bad pit stop about 2 stops ago. Put him way back in the field. And now he believes that the right rear lugs are loose on that car. Rusty told him about 15 laps ago. He said, guys, I can't stay out here any longer. I got to come in.
So Rusty Wallace will have one more chance to get a win in his final season next Sunday at Homestead. Carl Edwards moving forward suddenly. Robbie Gordon 7th. Edwards 8th.
Robbie has had a tough year. Robbie Gordon in that 7 car right there. He's having a good run today.
He's had a terrific run today. I heard someone say that he got his engine for this race from Richard Childers or DEI.
Yes. DEI.
Was it DEI?
DEI, I believe, this week.
And it looks like that's working out well for him.
Well, they've had all kinds of engine problems. You know, Robbie's talked about how the engine shop, he kept hoping they'd get better and better, but it wasn't working out.
Had a lot of DNF because of the engine problems, and that's been just killed him on points this year.
Yes, sir.
So he's missed a lot of races, trying to qualify for the races.
Robbie only 1 top 10 finish in 2005. 2nd out at Sears Point. Let's do through the field here. Start with Matt.
Bill, what a second half of the season. Kyle Busch and his 5 teams. They've really had a strong run. 6 most points. Right now looking to score his 2nd win this season. Snyder?
Matt, back on lap 283, Greg Biffle radio to his crew said he's got me, quoting Biffle, talking about Kyle Busch, who he said about half a tenth slower than every lap. He asked for his lap times, but Biffle's done a great job today. Led the most laps, currently running 2nd. Matt?
Jeff Gordon has faded back to 3rd, just settling in. Really can't do much else. Lap time is very similar to the leaders. He's losing about a tenth, though, every lap, baby.
Tony Stewart, 13th to 4th since the restart, doing right now a good job championship-wise. He's ahead of Jimmy Johnson and Carl Edwards. Can he stay there these final 16 laps, Matt?
A very productive day for Bobby Labonte in the 18, right behind his teammate Tony Stewart. He finished 6th here in the spring, working on another top 5 finish. Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson has dropped back to 6th. Now, Chad Canals told him the 99 has moved up high. See, maybe if that will help you hold him off. AB, what about the 99?
Well, he's got it rolling now. Lap time's looking very solid here, trying to get a spot away from Jimmy Johnson. That'd be one of the guys in the championship he needs to finish ahead of to gain points. Tony Stewart's the other. We'll see if he can catch him. Marty?
Alan, Robbie Gordon told me this morning, just because we're starting 12th, most people think that we have a qualifying setup underneath this race car. No, this race car is in race trim. Obviously, having a very good day. Car has been loose for most of the afternoon. This will be a fine top 10 for these guys, Alan.
I remember the call by Dale Jarrett not to pit at lap 229. Looks like it worked out for them. Was able to pit in cycle with everyone else. TJ up into the top 10. And what a day for Travis Kvapil in the 77 car. Started this race in 30th place. He's had only 1 top 10 finish finish this entire season. They did not pit under a caution earlier to get some track position, and it's working out just nicely.
Carl Edwards around Jimmy Johnson.
Good job, buddy. Nice and smooth now.
Gives Jimmy the wave as he goes by. Thanks for giving me enough room.
Closing in on 10 to go. Stewart has been able to extend the lead to 52. That changes almost every lap. Edwards, Biffle would have a shot. After that, everybody would be mathematically eliminated, assuming that everyone starts the race.
What, Robbie Gordon's moving up on the 48 car. Jimmy Johnson better be careful. He's going to lose another spot.
All these cars are eliminated, but they're racing for position, and it's worth a lot of money. 5th to 6th.
And if you drop it back to 11th, Jeff Gordon with a 19-point lead over Jamie McMurray. Robbie Gordon's got to feel like he's in a rocket. I mean, all the struggles that he's had all season.
This is probably the most fun, obviously, he's had all year long. Here he's about to pass a guy that's second in points. So, yeah, that's a big confidence booster for your race team. Sponsors and everybody involved.
So Gordon works on the 48. And these points would be big.
Every point that Jimmy Johnson loses now is just becoming huge.
Front Biffle can't do anything with Kyle Busch. Kyle leads by about 9/10 of a second.
That last lap, Carl Edwards was the fastest car, but 8 seconds behind the leader.
There's Kyle in the 5.
If we were just starting, Carl Edwards might be okay, but we aren't. We're ending.
Kyle finished second in his only Busch Series race here. That was 1 year ago. Kyle Busch has shown a lot of talent. A couple of weeks before California, Wally said that he thought Kyle Busch would win a couple of races down the stretch. Got one at California. Now going for his second. Biffle just has nothing for him. A car that was so good for so long. Kyle has to work lap traffic. That's Dave Blaney.
Now, this team has done a really good job. Got a young driver in the car, but they have been strong all year long. And he's doing a great job today.
And early in the race, this lap traffic would be a problem, but now with just a few laps to go, they're moving over. Let the leader go by. They're not as much problems as it would be earlier.
Greg Biffle trying to hold on to that second spot and help his chances next week when we get to Homestead for the season finale, the race that will decide the championship. Jeff Gordon runs third. Championship leader Tony Stewart is fourth. Biffle in the 16. He led 189 laps today.
Kyle Busch is driving that thing pretty hard. It was sideways off of 2, but so was Biffle, so Biffle can see him. He's trying to get there, but it's hard at this place not to overdrive your race car, especially when you're chasing somebody like this. You want to drive the car in just a little bit deeper, but when you do that, the car really slides.
Take a look at the speeds at the line.
There you saw Rick Monroe, the flagman, giving the signal. 5 to go.
Get down to Edwards. Yep, I figured.
Around a 29.06.
2/10 of a second faster than the leaders.
Smart, strong race for Kyle Busch. Thought he had a tire going down, as Matt talked about. Came to pit road under green. Turned out all the tires are up. Got the lucky dog. Worked pit strategy to get in contention. Then got 4 fresh tires.
There you go. Robbie Gordon finally working on the 48 to the point where he get on the high side of him. Just kiss some more points away.
Yeah, that's another 4 points.
4 more points. That's right. So Jimmy Johnson spending some points here late in the day at Phoenix.
And Dale Jarrett not that far behind these two cars.
There's Jarrett in the 88 car. And he could get around the 48.
Yeah, he's making up some ground.
Leaders come around, less than 2 to go. Kyle Busch will tell you one more time, his brother suspended by Roush Racing earlier today after a traffic violation here on Friday.
White flag here, coming to the white flag.
Kurt Busch will not drive for Roush Racing anymore. Right now, his younger brother, Kyle Busch, is the race leader, coming around to get the white flag at Phoenix. Last lap. Kyle Busch driving for car owner Rick Hendrick. Understand Rick wasn't feeling well earlier in the week. Hopefully he's better today. This will help.
He loves his race cars and loves seeing victories.
Fuck yeah, Alan. Nice work, boys.
Young Kyle Busch brings it off a turn first. Second win of the season. Kyle Busch wins at Phoenix.
That's it, right there.
Tony Stewart fourth. Jimmy Johnson seventh.
He got back in front of Robbie Gordon. That was a great battle. Denny Hamlin and the 12 car Ryan Newman.
A couple of Hendrick cars there. Four-time series champion Jeff Gordon and Kyle Busch. Our Chevy winning moment. Chevrolet congratulates Kyle Busch and the 5 Monte Carlo on today's win. The season's manufacturer's champion takes win number 573 overall. Chevy, the revolution, races on. Matt.
High five by Steve Letarte. What a way to bounce back from when you had to pit on lap 161, Alan.
Yeah, that was a tough deal. You know, Cal felt like he had a tire going down, and the tire ended up all right, but he did the smart thing. You know, he took care of that race car. That's an awesome race car. We've run that thing, like I was talking to you about earlier this year. We've run it 4 times with 3/4 and an 1/8. Now it's 1. That Kellogg Chevrolet was awesome. I just got to thank Kellogg's for all their support. Kyle for driving his heart out. My guys are working hard, you know, not giving up. We've had real good race cars the last couple of weeks and didn't get anything to show for. We got something to show for today.
Second win in 2005.
And Kyle Busch heads for victory lane. Started 15th, his second win of the season, the 16th driver to win here in 19 races, and the second win for Rick Hendrick here. Jerry Leblanc won back here in 94. 10th win for Hendrick Motorsports in 2005. Just unofficially looking at the championship standings. In fact, we can pop them in here, I think, for you. But I have Tony Stewart 52 points ahead of Jimmy Johnson, 87 back to Carl Edwards, 102 back to Greg Biffle. That's all unofficial. So the top 4 cars mathematically eligible to win the championship next week, assuming, of course, all start the race. Now, Jeff Gordon, a strong run, finishes 3rd here.
Got the 11th spot so far, only 10 in front of Jamie McMurray.
And that pays about $1 million bucks. And when you include the bonus to finish 11th, get you a spot on the stage in New York. Let's go down to victory lane where Alan Bestwick will celebrate with Kyle Busch.
Well, we saw his first NEXTEL Cup Series victory Labor Day weekend, California Speedway. And I believe the scene was similarly soaked. Well, Kyle, what a day. Where to start? First, the battle with Biffle when he got by you. What made you think you could get back by him? He'd been so dominant all day.
He was, and he was really, really fast, and he had an awesome race car out there. I want to thank him for racing me clean that whole time. He was an awesome racer out there. That was great. I had a blast racing with him. That was fun, but, you know, I just want to apologize to all the fans. I couldn't do, you know, my normal smoky burnouts because NASCAR wanted me to come to victory lane. I guess, don't know if you're running behind on time or what, but I'm sure the fans would have liked to have seen that. But I just want to thank Kellogg's, CarQuest, Delphi, everybody that's been on board with us this year. This is number 2, but should have been you know, more than that. But still, I want to thank all these guys. They do an awesome job for me. Tremendous race car today. Alan Gustafson, he's a great crew chief. Just can't thank him enough. As well as Mr. H. I know he's at home watching. Love you, man. And I know my grandma was watching at home, too. I love her as well, too. So I just want to say that I'm behind my brother 100%. And anything that's in the media is usually falsely, I can't even think right now. But I just want to apologize to all the Sharpie, Crown Royal, everybody for taking a champion, a true champion, out of his race car today.
Kyle, when you got a lap down early in the race, did you think you had enough time and enough car to get back up front and contend?
I knew we did. When I was messing with Biffle there a lap down, I saw where he was beating me and where I needed to work on. And I just called Alan and told him what adjustments we needed in order to work on the thing and make it better. And I didn't think I was going to be able to beat Biffle. When he got to me, I knew how hard he was driving his car. And when he got by me, he was still driving his car real hard. So I knew if I could just pressure him a few more laps, I could probably heat up his right rear a little more and we could get by him. And, you know, my stuff was pretty much wore out there at the end as well. I'm sure his was too. But, again, it was awesome racing with him. I've beat him now for my first Cup win, for my first Busch win, for this win. But one of these days, I'm sure I'm going to lose to him. So I just want to thank him again.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Kyle Busch, his second NEXTEL Cup win of his rookie season. Pretty amazing. Marty?
Well, and it was a fun duel there between Kyle and Greg Biffle, and a lot of fun between you two guys. But lap 284, you said, he's got me. At that point, did you know you were done?
Yeah, just, you know, the car's real aero sensitive, and I just got aero tight behind him. And when he was behind me, I was just too loose to put the gas down. You know, down there in 3 and 4, I just couldn't put any more wheel to it and put the gas down. But great run for us here. You know, this is a championship team, the 16 team is, and, you know, have posted National Guard and everybody on the car. It's pretty exciting. Just, man, I had a great race today. It was a lot of fun and pretty down after the last couple of weeks, but that'll sure lift your spirits. I mean, we want to win, but heck, that was a great run for us.
Comes through with his best ever Phoenix finish of second, and he led the most laps today, Matt.
A great run by Jeff Gordon. Your team really mixed it up, fuel strategy, the tire situation, but the bigger news, you are unofficially back in 11th, chasing that $1 million bonus.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're really not chasing that. That'd be great if we could get it, but we're working for next year and you know, trying to win races and come out of here third. I'm extremely happy. I thought Steve Letarte made some great calls, you know, and all of Hendrick Motorsports looked like they made some great calls to get the cars up there. Kyle, congratulations to him. That's a great win. We had 2 tires there at the end. I need to get clear of those guys ahead of me, and I just couldn't do it. And once those guys on 4 got to me, I knew I was done. But I was surprised we were able to hold on to third and keep Stewart, some of those guys behind us. I thought they were going to just, you know, run us down. But our car was pretty good on the long run. So I'm real happy with this effort and looking forward to Homestead.
Finishes third, unofficially 11th with a 10-point lead over 12th. Dave?
Matt with Carl Edwards right now. I know you want to do better than 6th. Your car was pretty racy today, but what happened at the end?
Yeah, the office depot Ford was real racy. We thought, well, we'll pit here with like 58 to go. It'll be the last time we pit, and I thought we'd be able to get farther up through there than we did. Our car was just so bad on the short run that these guys would really take off, and we couldn't catch them, but I still had a blast. I mean, the track was fun. We were fast all day, which is really exciting in a mile track. We haven't been that fast at these places, so gives me a lot of confidence for our short track program. Just have to go to Homestead. It's just so frustrating. We had such a great day. We had such a fast car. We didn't make up any points, but that's how good Tony Stewart is. So we'll just have to go get him at Homestead.
Great. Thanks, Carl. Marty?
Well, top 5 finishes, Dave, for the Gibbs duo of Bobby Labonte and Tony Stewart. And let's get Tony to turn around here. It was a very solid day for you guys. Seemed like at one point you were kind of afraid to make changes to it because the car was just so good.
Well, it wasn't that it was so good. It just had a good balance, but it still needed to be faster. It was just, you know, if you tried to make it cut through the center, it was probably going to make it freer up off, and if you tried to give it more forward bite up off, it was probably going to make it tighter in the center. So it's kind of tough for a crew chief and a driver at that point to know exactly what to do to it to try to make it better. But, you know, we just kept working with it, and obviously as the sun started going down and the temperature started going down, we started getting tighter and had to work on it. But I had a really solid car, and it was so good on long runs. I mean, it was really, really good. But, you know, the 16 and the 5, they were the class of the field today. But, you know, we did what we had to do for this point deal and gain some points.
And you did gain some points. 52 going into Homestead. Your thoughts on that final race?
I thought I'd just take the weekend off. I think I might skip.
I don't think you should do that.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, it's a big weekend. for us next weekend, so I'm sure I'm glad I've got a lot of stuff to keep me busy all week. I've got Home Depot commercials to shoot tomorrow and Tuesday in Charlotte, and I think the whole team, we're all going fishing in Florida on Wednesday, so that's something we're all looking forward to doing together as a team, and that'll get us ready for the weekend.
A little more comfortable 52-point lead heading into the final race. Dave?
That will be next week at Homestead. Jimmy, the deficit is now 52 points. After what you saw today, can you catch him?
You know, we really needed to finish ahead of him today and cut some of the margin down going into Homestead. We weren't able to do it. We tried hard. We put in, a lot of work. It just came up a little bit short. So, it's not over until the last lap at Homestead, but it's going to be tough from here, and it's been tough. But, we needed to be ahead of the 20 today.
How frustrating was it to watch those positions go away at the end?
It was. It's frustrating when you're going backwards, especially when, I saw the 99 coming and 20 going away. But we worked so hard all day long to get the car a little bit better. We just had a tight in the center we couldn't get rid of. I was dirt tracking the car all over the place, trying to do what I could. Chad was being really aggressive on the stops and helping it a little bit at a time. We just couldn't get dialed in, unfortunately. But, disappointed definitely, but very proud of my team, Chad, and everybody for working as hard as they do. And we'll go to Homestead and put in a hard day's work down there and see what happens.
Jimmy Johnson comes home 7th today.
7th place finish for Jimmy, 4th place finish for Tony Stewart. We'll come back, continue our post-race coverage from Phoenix. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
International Raceway continuing our post-race coverage down by the Sunoco gas pumps in the garage area with the 5th place finisher, Bobby Labonte. Bobby, your day.
It was a great run for the Interstate Battery Chevrolet. The guys did a great job in the pits. We had a qualified 5th. We ran in the top 10, caught out of it a little bit, and our pit strategy worked out. Steve made a good call. We stayed out that one time. Caught a caution. Some guys got 2 tires, hard to pass. Got going and come home 5th. And it was a great weekend for Joe Gibbs Racing with Tony finishing 4th, and Denny sitting on the pole yesterday. So it was a great job for everybody.
Bobby will look to finish his time with Joe Gibbs strong next week at Homestead. Bill?
Thanks, Alan. Heard from the top 7 finishers. Here are the unofficial results from today's running at Phoenix International Raceway. 2nd win of the year for Kurt Busch. Greg Biffle led the most laps. Jeff Gordon comes home 3rd. He's 11th in the standings. Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson. Good run for Robbie Gordon and Travis Kvapil. Dale Jeff, too.
The green flags on the right side of the screen obviously indicate that the driver led a lap today.
And the 2 stars there indicate that Biffle led the most laps. Elliott Sadler, 13th in the championship standings.
Denny Hamlin, our pole sitter, his first ever NASCAR NEXTEL Cup pole.
And these guys had days they won't remember for very long.
Hopefully.
Although Earnhardt Jr. might remember that hit against the wall. Now, unofficially, the championship standings. Unofficially, if Tony Stewart finishes 9th or better next week at Homestead, he will have the championship. But as we saw last year, anything can happen. The top 4 drivers are mathematically eligible, providing all 4 start the race. Tony talked about taking the weekend off. That would make Martin eligible, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't believe that's going to happen.
And we talked about the race for 11th.
Pretty tight.
Yep.
McMurray, Sadler, and Jeff Gordon's got the spot now.
And Harvick's got a shot at it, too. 106 back. Can gain 156 points in 1 race. And the final race is next weekend. The heat will be on at Homestead Miami Speedway. The champions will be crowned on Saturday. It's the Busch Series Ford 300 at 4 Eastern on TNT. Then Sunday, it's the Ford 400 at 3 Eastern time on NBC. Coverage begins with the Bank of America Countdown to Green. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, it's Penn and Teller off the deep end. And the laps continue with Saturday Night Live in the 80s, Lost and Found. We'll see you next week, championship weekend in Miami.
Stay with it.
Senior Day in South Bend.